Hello everybody, I think we are live. It looks like everything is good. I'll wait to make sure you guys have audio. It looks like audio is working, but we never know. We are finishing up the Dragonfly on this guy today and working on bubbles. That is the plan anyway. We'll see how all of that goes. There is a chance I will have to run off depending. I'm waiting for a delivery from Josh's Frogs on crickets and some plants. So if that gets here, I need to run out and grab it so it doesn't sit outside. But, oh good. Joseph says audio is live, video is live. We are good. So yes, I may, have to run the house. My studio is at the very back of the house and it's a long haul. So, it takes a little bit to get up to the front door. Anyway, that could be a possibility. So far, Gibson over there, if you were here Wednesday night, Gibson wasn't feeling well. It looks like he's back to normal, so I don't think he'll need any extra trips outside, but it could happen. Hi, Angie. Let's see. Septa said, yeah, I said that right, said, so as I was bringing Masters Agility Championship, because dogs racing amazes me. I saw your comment on one of the videos. I don't even remember. Did I? I mean, I'm sure I commented. I don't remember what I said. Okay. I think we are good. Did I do some? Who is Al? Who is AI? Did I do something right? I don't know. Something's not written on here, right? Let's see. Okay. So if you are new to these live streams, or usually this happens when someone watches after the fact, they get mad I talk too much for these. This is an artist hangout. In addition, I'm working on something. If you're looking for just straight tutorial where I'm not rambling about my dogs and frogs and crickets and whatever, then Patreon is going to be a better fit for you. For as little as $4 a month, you get access to all of my longer tutorials. There are over 200 instantly you get as soon as you sign up, and a new one every single week. And some other rewards over there. So check that out if you are looking for just straight, very inexpensive lessons. So, and when I say very inexpensive, I used to charge $20 for a 2-hour group class. So that was once a week. This you get a lot more for a lot less. So anyway, that would be a better fit if you were just looking for that. But we're going to hang out and chat, about randomness, whatever you guys want to talk about while we work on this guy. Hi, Sneaks. Somebody said, how come do dogs know they're cute or follow the obstacle? They're trained. They're actually trained on those. Well, they're trained. You train in a small chunk and then longer and longer so that the dog knows when you point at certain things what it's supposed to do. So like those obstacle courses that, if you're unfamiliar, that this is what we're talking about. There's some videos you can look up of dogs doing the obstacle courses, here on YouTube. Well, any video platform, I'm sure, but they're trained, like they know when they're pointed at different things, what they're supposed to do. And some of the obstacles, like where it goes up and then it teeters back down, the dog knows, well, it should know, it's been trained that its feet have to touch a certain point. It can't just leap off. So they're trained on each individual thing. And so that individual thing, even though the obstacle course might be rearranged, the actual hurdles and such are the same the dog's been trained on, usually for years. So that's how, it's just a training with that. And then they have to follow what the owner or the handler is telling them as far as where they're to go next. It doesn't always work out that way. And those are the funniest runs. I love watching those. Hi, Shelly. Yeah, the watching agility stuff. And I don't know, I can relate to it more because I did this I used to do confirmation training, or showing. So just normal dog shows, not like obstacle courses or anything. But the thing is, with even a normal obstacle course, that dog, or not an obstacle course, with training where the show dogs, they stand a certain way, so much training goes into that. And so Jessie, when I had my Italian Greyhounds, she was my main one that I worked with, and her conformation was beautiful. She was really a very good, I mean, not perfect, but she was a nice looking dog, as far as breed standards and such. That little jerk, oh my gosh, I put so much training into her, and we'd get into the show ring, and it reminded me of those obstacle courses where the dog's just like, nope. And she would it was something new every time. Like, she would find new ways I guess I have fond memories of it, so it wasn't too bad, but she would find new ways to act like an idiot. Like, I had one time, and again, I put so much training into this dog, and she would be so good outside. Is that a cardinal? I never see cardinals out here. She would put, I had her trained, just to give you an idea. So the normal, where you stack a dog on a table and they stand all perfect, you know, feet where they're supposed to be, you can adjust their feet and they don't care, they let you do whatever, and stand perfect. So she was trained for that. I also went a little above and beyond, so she was trained to free stack, where I could tell her step and she would only move a front paw forward, because dogs have a tendency, naturally they'll stand with their front feet and back feet like a little bit closer together than what you would want in the show ring. So I had her taught, so if these are her back feet, I would say step, one front foot moved forward. I say step again, the second front foot moved forward. So it would just stretch her out a little bit more, because when you free stack, you can't touch the dog. The dog has to do it on its own, but you can give it a verbal command to do that. She was trained well. I mean, Jessie liked to learn. She was a big fan of learning any new tricks. Like, she loved learning at home. You get her to the show ring and she was like, not happening. Like, I couldn't even get her to bait. So like giving them treats and stuff to encourage them, she was too nervous. She wouldn't take it. And oh my gosh, that dog, she was, I mean, I laugh about it now, but we called her crackhead. It was a term of endearment, but it was very accurate for her. She definitely, it did not matter how much training I did, I'd get her into the ring and you didn't know if she was going to do what she was supposed to or not. And she had multiple best in shows under her belt. I showed mostly UKC with her, with both of them. I just thought UKC was more fun. I don't breed, or I didn't breed, so I didn't care which title I got. I just did it to be, you know, go to dog events with fellow dog friends and breeders and such. But, she had, is it 2 or 3 best in shows and a reserve best in show? So it's like second place best in show. Tons of group like ones, so like first place in the groups. Tons of first place in the breeds, like tons. The dog did well sometimes. And sometimes she acted like, I had one time where the judge, it was only me and one other person in the ring. The other person's dog was a horrible example of the breed. It almost looked like a messed up German Shepherd. When it moved, it would drag its rear, like the legs are going everywhere. I don't even know why they were trying to show this dog. So she, Jessie looked great, but was at one of her days. She was going to act like a jerk in the ring. And the judge comes up and she withheld the ribbon for both, you know, we were the only 2. It should have gone to one of us. She looks at the one dog and said first I think she looked at Jessie. She's like, your dog needs to be trained. I'm thinking, if a dog's been trained like you wouldn't believe, more than most dogs here at the show, I guarantee you. And then looked at the other one, and your dog, well, no. So yeah, Jessie she made life interesting. So when I watch those things with the agility and the dog is just not doing what it's clearly been trained to do, it's just so funny to me. Anyway, that was a lot of words. Let's see. Andrea said rebels are expected and entertaining. Yay! Sefta said it amazes me because it's not only on the typical dogs like Italian Greyhounds who are known for races, but bulldogs too. I think every dog can be trained, right? Yeah, absolutely. And actually, sight hounds like Italian Greyhounds, Greyhounds over here, they're harder to train. Certain breeds are going to be more stubborn. They're more independent. And it's funny because a lot of people think that means the dog is stupid. They mistake stupidity for being so smart. They know they don't need to do what you want them to do. So I need to adjust the colors. Saturation's a little weird here. The lighting in here keeps changing. We've had clouds and storms, and so it just, you're going to have that a lot. But this is a little bit extreme. Let's fix that. But yeah, no, any dog can be trained with you have to find the right method for the individual dog. Some dogs, they're going to handle well with you telling them no when they do something wrong. Another dog only is going to respond well to telling it when it did something right. Like, every dog is going to be a little bit different, and you have to figure out what, that looks pretty close, what is going to work best for each individual dog. But it varies by breed too. Like I said, you know, sight hounds, they're very intelligent normally, except Wade. Wade is not the brightest hound of all the hounds. His head is, you can't see his head. It's like hanging out of the bed. But, here, let me see if I can adjust that for you a little bit because it's kind of cute. We love Wade, but he's not super, like, he takes a really long time. I think that's about as good as I can do. He takes a really long time to learn things. Gibson's a freaking, like, evil genius. It's scary what that dog figures out on his own. But yeah, so any dog can, you just have to figure out the right methods to train them. And you would think that in agility and such that the sight hounds would be the best. They're usually not. just because they're not the most obedient. They're like, I don't have to do this. I'm bored with this now. Whereas something like a border collie that lives to please their owner, they typically do well, not because they're as fast as a Siam, but because they're more obedient. Let's see. Sarah said, I'm working on a watercolor of a stork. There's a lot of foliage around him. And thanks to you, I'm bringing some of the green into the leaves onto the white of the stork. Nice! Yay! Eo said, hi Lisa, you're the best animal mom. Oh, thank you. I try. Life with Casey said, we get so many cardinals at my house. We used to at the apartment we lived in Grapevine, but we had really mature trees, and here it's like a whole new area. It used to be farmland, and so there weren't a lot. Like there's certain like green belts that have the trees, but like here they're not. So, you know, we put out the bird food and hope they figure it out. But yeah, I don't really normally see them. We get a lot of the red-winged blackbirds, doves the most, house finches, house sparrows. And mockingbirds, of course. I really like the mockingbirds. They sound so pretty. Nick said it was just performance anxiety. Oh my gosh, that dog. I used to get up early, and you guys know me. I don't get up early. I used to get up early and rollerblade that dog for 4 miles to try to exhaust her enough that she was too, physically tired to act like a jerk in the ring. It didn't matter. She'd get there and just... oh my gosh. Italian Greyhounds are not supposed to hold their tail up. They're supposed to be relaxed and down, and her tail placement was right. Like, she was built right. She was a spaz, and she would get like stressed or anxiety, I guess. And that tail was up. She'd stand her ears straight up on some days, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. Parkfinder said she had stage fright, or that would be arena fright, something like that. Actually, she had one day. So there was a judge. It was actually the judge that gave her a reserve best in show, and I think 1 or 2 of her best in shows. I forget. But it was we're talking 15 years ago. So Jessie did not like larger women. And I don't know why, because her breeder was a larger woman. But she had, well, actually, I do know why. We'll back that story up. So when she was about 4 months old, we were doing, they call them fun matches or puppy matches, where it's for practice for the dogs. There's like, they'll have gifts that are like, you want a new collar or a dog bed, but it's not like, it doesn't go towards their record. So, or their titles. So we were at one of those, and she'd always done really well at these fun matches. I mean, she really was doing so good. And there was one day, it was extra cold, and dogs will hit certain times in their development where things will scare them a bit more than normal, or they're just a little off. Like you just work through it. And if they're over the top scared, especially at a show ring, if that dog acts scared, you don't get mad at them. Don't make it worse. Just comfort them and then leave, or just hang out, but don't like try to force them to do something that they're freaking out about. Is a big deal. So this one woman, and she was rather like really large, and the reason that I bring that up is not to bash her, but when you're talking about a puppy that's this tiny little thing, a very larger person is running at you is scary. So she was on the table at this fun match, and the girl, she was a breeder of, was it Bouviers or giant schnauzers? I don't know. It was a larger breed she was a breeder of. I forget which. And she showed them. But she was also a judge at this event. And so Jessie, when she came up, it was one of those moments where Jessie was getting a little bit like in her development where she was just a little bit more scared about things than normal. And it's like, you just keep her calm. You just let her realize it's okay. Don't force her to do something she doesn't want. And she's on the table, and she did not want this judge touching her. For whatever reason, she was having a weird moment. It's fine, no big deal. I'll just pick up my dog and we're gonna leave the ring now. The whole point was practice, it doesn't matter. So upsetting the dog is the wrong thing. So our second time in the ring, it was a male judge that she had known, like Jessie knew this guy. And so she was all happy, everything's good. The larger woman comes running across the field. I'm not kidding you, running, waving her arms. No dog's afraid of me. And she insisted on going, that you call it going over, where they run their hands over the dog and check or whatever. And she runs at Jessie. Jessie just about peed herself. She was so scared of this woman running and yelling, waving her arms. It was the most inappropriate thing this woman could have done. And it was one of those where I was shocked. I'm like, I don't know what to do right now. Looking back, I would have grabbed the dog and walked off. Like, you need to back off. She ruined that. That was the moment that kind of ruined Jessie for shows, because she had been doing really well up until that point. It just scared her so bad. So Jessie, moving forward, was always afraid of larger women. And men she seemed to do a little bit better with, but larger women really freaked her out. So the woman that gave Jessie, and I love her, She gave Jessie the wins. Well, the first time, the one that she got the reserve best in show, Jessie was on the ring, and when she walked up, I was like, oh crap, Jessie's gonna act like an idiot. And she did. She walks up to her and Jessie screams. Now you could get excused from the ring if your dog's being that big of a mental basket case. You're not appropriate for go. So I don't know why, and I'm not a liar normally, but I was just so quick, like, oh, I'm sorry, did I get your ear on the leash or whatever? And I don't know why I did that, and I still kind of feel a little dirty about it because I don't like liars and I don't like lies. But my first thing was, oh crap, don't think that the dog yelled because of you. It was a size issue in Jessie's case because Jessie was a basket case. So yeah, anyway, it worked, and Jessie ended up calming down around her. She just needed that little like to get used to her. But the last time Jessie had seen someone that size was running across the field at her, waving her arms and yelling. So, and poor Jessie, she had so many incidents at the shows where there was one time she was sitting on my lap. I'm sitting ringside and Jessie's I'm sitting in a chair. She's on my lap. And a Doberman walks by, and beautiful dog walks by, and just randomly, it was so even the handler got a hold of the dog quickly, but it was so quick, the dog lunged at Jessie. And maybe Jessie gave off a nervousness that other dogs didn't like, I don't know. But she had a weird amount of things, nothing bad ever happened, but enough to scare her. So Jessie was just a spaz. That's the story of showing Jessie. Shelley said, we've had 3 Italians, one stubborn as a mule, one dumber than a box of rocks. That was Echo. Echo was not a bright dog. And another who was all around joy. And of course he knew he was special. I loved them both for different reasons, but yeah, Echo was not bright. Echo and Wade have a lot in common personality-wise. They are not very bright, and they are extremely, I'm just adding the negative space, by the way. They're both extremely food-driven, but to the point where it's hard to train them because they're so focused on the food that they're not paying attention to what it is you're trying to teach them. Gibson's the opposite. Gibson's very easy to teach. Gibson will teach you. Septa said, I believe Crufts is like the Olympics for dogs, awestruck with the skill and performances. Yeah, kinda. Crufts has gotten in trouble. So that is more a UK type show. And one of the things that was happening with the Crufts shows, especially with German Shepherds, certain breeds of Pekingese, different dogs with really, really flat faces, they were going so extreme that it was hurting the animal's health, all for the point of shows. We're going to be as extreme, this dog has a flat face, let's make it even flatter. And stuff like that they were doing, they got kind of, there was a thing, and supposedly they were doing better, though they changed it so that, this is just kaput mortem, by the way, so it's kind of that reddish brown, so that they would go more for let's combine health and looks, ideally. Okay. So I'm just pulling in some highlights here. I don't care if it's exact to the photo. It really doesn't need to be. And then I'll put highlights with the touch-up texture titanium white later. What's interesting too, when I worked on this last week, I kept thinking there was a ton of stuff I still wanted to do on the Dragonfly, and there's really not much. When I look at it now with fresh eyes a week later, I'm like, actually, I kind of like where he is. That may happen a lot on your own artwork. You'll work on something and you'll think there's so much you still have to do. Take a break and come back and decide if you really do need it. You may. I would say more often than not, most people do. But sometimes when you take a step away from something, or you think you might be done but you hate it, put it away so you can't see it. Come back a week later. You may like it a whole lot more than what you thought you did. And then I think a lot of what I want to do is just the touch-up texture titanium white once I get that out. Just a little bit of this heather here. So now adding the heather, one of the things that it's doing, I think it doesn't really show on that very well, but one of the things that it does is it pulls that purple tone more in that's all around this piece. So it helps everything to feel like they go together. If you've got color on one area, it really should be in other areas. You don't want just one spot of red unless you're really trying to draw attention to that area. But when you're trying to create a scene like this where you've combined multiple elements, but you want to make sure they all look like they're kind of going together, pull in the same colors. I used this heather color, so it's this light purple kind of lavender color. I used it all over. So pull it in here. Even if the reference photo has none of this in there, add it anyway, and it's going to help them to feel like they go together. if you have not already, by the way, we still have that giveaway. I think it's Monday I'm choosing the winner. It was Sunday or Monday, I forget which. But that giveaway is going on over at MeWe. Link is in the video description. I'm giving away another painting. This one is of a moon. If I wasn't lazy, I'd go grab. Oh, it's not in there. Never mind. It's in the office. I'm not going all the way up there. But that is available now. And with these giveaways, there's a pretty high chance of winning. It is US only, just because I can't ship stuff out of the States right now. Things are weird with the whole zombie virus, so there's that. It's already hard to ship out of the States, but it's extra pain right now to get things on time. And anyway, that is over there, and they're only, last I checked, there were only like 24 entries, so you know, you have a good chance of winning. You may want to enter that. Let's see. Nellybug said, I just finished tending to my guinea pigs, so I'm finally here, loving the piece so far. Thank you. Oh, I love guinea pigs. They're so cute. I've never had one. That is one animal I've never had, though, ever, which is odd because I've had lots growing up. Snow said, that actually happened to me lately. I made a mistake in the picture and couldn't get rid of it. Finished the piece frustrated. Then I looked at it 3 days later and it looked fine. It happens all the time. Like, it's really common. Septa said, I agree. Some of the hurdles are way too intense. And the hurdles, the jumping, all that I don't have a problem with. My issue is more with the conformation when you've got a German Shepherd whose hips, like, so German Shepherds, I used to work at an animal hospital, and, well, several, and I have never seen personally, outside of the show ring, and even there, you're like, that dog's not going to age well, where the hips, they didn't end up with hip dysplasia. And some of these 2 years old hip dysplasia in these dogs. It was so common because we bred for this extreme drop in the rear that caused problems. And certain, I mean, even big dogs that don't have that drop like the Shepherd do can get hip dysplasia, but it was so common. And so in the show ring, that was one of the breeds that was a real issue. They just kept breeding for this really extreme where their rear is just dragging the ground, and it wasn't healthy for the dog. So I'm watching my color change here from like green tint to yellow tint. I don't know what's going on with the lighting in here, but anyway, that's more my issue. The hurdles, the like obedience trials. What is it? The obedience, the agility, all of those I don't have a problem with. Those are awesome. It's if the dog can handle it, the dog can handle it. They're not going to give him something he can't handle. But it's the breeding practices, and I am all for purebred dogs, so I don't want to make it sound like I'm one of those PETA freaks, like, oh, only buy a mutt. Purebred mutt, whatever works for you, works for you. But they got to where they were breeding for such extremes that it was really affecting the dog's health. And even here in the US, I mean, like I said, I've never personally been around a German Shepherd that didn't end up with hip dysplasia, ever. And young, like really young. And so that's the sort of thing I'd like to see breeders start correcting, because we can control that. We can breed for better, but because the show ring demands this extreme look. So Crefts was one that kind of got in trouble with that. And they decided to create laws. I think legally it was a thing to not encourage unhealthy attributes to these dogs. Let's see. Nick said, that drives me crazy when the breeders intentionally veer away from the original standard solely for popular opinion and aesthetics that actually place in sanctioned dog shows. Yep. And what'll happen in dog shows. So, and I'm not bashing dog shows. I like dog shows. But one of the things that will happen, there are a lot of politics involved with them, that you'll have where, let's say you have 6 dogs. One of those dogs is bred correct. I mean, just straight to breed standard. And the other ones are too extreme in one area or another, whether like with Italian Greyhounds. A lot of breeders are breeding so that there's too high of a lift in the front, so they're dang near smacking themselves in the face when they move, which is bad for their movement. It's not good, clean movement. But it looks fancy. And the one that moves properly looks like the oddball out, so he's not going to win even though he's correct. It seems to be like this group sheep mentality. All the rest look like this, so that must be correct. And that sort of thing is really annoying. Paul said, thoughts on Friends reunion? 0 thoughts. I didn't know about it and I don't really care. I wasn't really ever that. I mean, I like Friends in the early seasons, the later ones. I think the woman who plays Monica is one of the worst, most painful to watch actresses. Like, can she act without smile, like always looking like she's on the verge of laughing? Like, she's just terrible. I didn't really like, I loved the show in the first few seasons. I didn't like it towards the end. Yay, coffee. So yeah, I don't really have many thoughts on that at all. Hi, Tarcisio. Nellie Bug said, the guinea pigs were squeaking so loudly that I couldn't hear the stream. I've had piggies my whole life. They are definitely my spirit animal. Oh, they're so, I love looking at them. Every time we go to a pet store to get more bird toys or whatever, like I have to go look at them every time. Like they're just, oh, they're so cute. I like the ones with the crazy hair where it's like they look like they have bedhead. That's my spirit animal is bedhead. Boma said, would you say you live in a zoo with all the animals you own? Pretty much, yeah. Yes, I do. And actually, I talked to the breeder, since those of you with the red-eye tree frogs know I've been going through the whole parasite. Every frog I've gotten has it's very common with these guys. So the breeder, she's treated hers, and I have another albino coming. So it'll be replace the one that I lost next week. So we'll start quarantine on that one. I'm hoping to get a frog healthy enough into the tank with Murky. It's just... Murky's my healthy girl. She's big girl. She's very big girl. But she's doing, I'm going to start on these bubbles. She's doing great, but she's all by herself. I mean, technically all my red-eye tree frogs are by themselves. They're not social. They don't care if they're by themselves. I'm just doing the people thing of she needs a friend. So I'm hoping if this goes well with the yellow one, that can be her friend. Or I say yellowish. It's actually considered albino. But let's see. I got some more colors out here. So yeah, he will be, I ordered a male so that he'll chirp. But I love how the males bark. I just think it's so cute. I still am working with my little purple male. I just don't have high hopes for him. He's still like, I'm waiting for him to go again so I can do another fecal test, but he is just not, he's still swollen. He does not look right to me. And so the next thing, an expert in Holland that I talked to, he showed me what to look for not psittacosis. It was another one that I'm mixing up that birds get it too. I forget what it is. So he showed me what to look like for that. He said that can cause the swelling. So if that's the case, then I'll go to the vet and get, it's a whole thing. I'm hoping to have one of the parasites under control, but it's just, these guys are just so prone to it. So yeah, that is, I don't have, like I try not to get too attached because I just don't have super high hopes for him. He's a fighter though. He's been fighting with these health issues for a month. I've had him since, when did I get them? March, and he's still, I like every day he's still fighting, and I'm like, well, good for you, but he doesn't, I don't know. So I'm trying, but I don't know how he'll do. So yes, I got the little albino, and if he and she, if they are he and he, I guess, if both of them end up good, they can all, the tank that Murky is in is huge. It's a 36-inch tall by 24 by 24, which is a good size tank. So there's plenty of room. I technically could have 5 frogs in there. My goal is, well, my goal originally was 3. I'd be happy with 2 at this point. But yeah, I moved Murky, or not Murky, Glitch got moved into my office yesterday. That tank looks really pretty in there. I'm actually really, I didn't think I'd like it as much as I do. So she's in there. Yeah, that's what's going on in Frogling, or the frog dramas. Skylar said, oh no, I'm sorry you lost frog. Yeah, it's so common. And this is what I need to make. I want to make a video because I want to do kind of an educational thing. Because when I went into this, I did a lot of research. So I thought I was really well prepared and I could avoid a lot of these problems. I made sure I went through captive bred, because everything online is like, oh, if you get wild caught, then they're going to have parasites. Well, apparently so does every single captive bred. Like it is so common and people aren't testing for it. They don't know. And so I lost 2 from the first vet. I got 4, lost 2 before the vet was able to figure out they had flagellates. So he fixes that, or treated them for that. And then at that point they were able to identify they had the second parasite, the nematodes, which is what I'm fighting on with the purple one. So it's just been an ongoing, it's been a learning experience, but I'm hoping if I can kind of get through this, as much as I've learned, I have a lot to share. So I want to make a video just dedicated to, like, if you're going to get one of these frogs, you need to know what you're getting yourself into, because I probably wouldn't have done it if I would have known. I'm glad I did, but I don't think I would have wanted to deal with the trouble that it's, the amount of work I put into frogs is kind of crazy. Now, my dart frogs, they're so easy. I've had pretty much no trouble with my dart frogs. I've got the Santa Isabel's over here, and then in the living room, I've got the Lucamella, so the bumblebee dart frogs. They're so cute, but they're babies. But I've had pretty much, like, it's been the easiest time with them. But the red-eyed tree frogs, there's something about them that is so sensitive. When I was younger, I had a white tree frog for 12 years. I had no problems there either. And so I kind of expected the same going into red-eyed tree frogs. Now, I had heard that they were sensitive. So I'm like, okay, I'm talking months of research. I read every article, every forum post, everything back when I was using Failbook. I read everything I could find on these. People don't realize how bad the parasites are. And it drives me crazy because people will post different health issues of their frogs on, I see it a lot on Failbook, and they will, all the people comment, well, is it wild caught or captive bred? And they just assume if captive bred, then there's no parasites. No. Assume they all have parasites. Like, and the symptoms all line up with parasites. So with these guys, it's either going to be bacterial or parasites. Those are like your two main options. They could be something else, but those are your main things. And no one knows that. So I want to make a video talking about it and really kind of going over that. So hopefully I can help other people avoid what I've gone through. And one of the things with the red-eyed tree frogs too, most things that you find, like when you look online, it'll say that their average lifespan is like 5 to 6 years. Some will even say 4. No, you know why they're dying that young? Parasites. If you deworm them and you know to watch for it, you can prevent that. But even if you get rid of the parasites, one article I read said that you never really fully get rid of it, so it's more of an issue of managing them. Another one, it said that you're reintroducing them through crickets. Well, you can't avoid that. You got to feed them crickets. They won't eat anything else. So, or nothing else is really good for them to eat as a standard thing. So this is something I'm like, I've turned into like this passionate frog person. Like, I want to tell people what to look for so they can save their frogs. So they don't go through what I've gone through. But like my thing now, I bring a new frog in. So even though the breeder has tested this frog, because he was positive, the one I'm getting, all of them were, with parasites, she treated them. He could still have some hiding in there. And so he'll be in quarantine for months before he can be anywhere near Murky. I mean, Murky had him. Murky, I'll have to test her again too, regularly. Even though she's turned up positive so far, it could be hiding in there. So, or getting it from crickets. So she, this little one will be in quarantine, and as soon as he has or leaves me some stool to test, I will check that, and I'll be checking it regularly. Like that moving forward will be the first thing I do on any frog, because it is so common, and I think for most people not worth the trouble. And I want people to know that before they get themselves into this and then are sad because they lost animals. Glitch to the office assistants, yes. And she's so cute. Let's see. Julie said, I so agree with Breed Extreme when you look at the initial standard when the breed was first accepted and the pups with that win now. Like grays from racing are not bred for looks. Yeah, and a racing greyhound, very different from a show greyhound. The show greyhound is going to have a way deeper chest. The deeper chest looks fancy, but it's not necessary for function. I prefer function over form. I mean, form follows function. So if you're breeding for form, then the function, like Italian Greyhounds. You have Italian Greyhounds that are throwing their legs up in the air so much, and while it looks fancy when they're high stepping, they could not race their way out of a paper bag. I mean, it's so, and one of the main women who teaches judging classes or whatever for Italian Greyhounds, she's big on saying that that's correct. The breed standard, or not the breed standard, the breed logo for the American Greyhound Club, AGCA, whatever. The logo they use is this dog that's complete incorrect movement. Legs up here like it's prancing too high. Like, it is completely incorrect. And that is what they chose for the logo. And it's like, no wonder judges don't know what they're looking for when you're teaching them that, yes, it drives me crazy. Bike said, I have a crazy haired piggy called Harley. She has hair in all directions, and I have to cut her bangs so she can see where she's going. Oh, so cute. Are you on MeWe? Because I need to see photos of this. I would like regular piggy updates, please. Paul said, so cliche now, how a timid young woman who works as a receptionist and can afford New York City in reality she'd be living in a shoebox with a $2,000 rent a month. $2,000's pretty low. I don't know if you could even find anything for $2,000, even the shoebox in New York. It's very, and like the size of the apartments, they're not that big. Let's see. Do you prefer colored pencils or water media for doing art outside, plein air? I'd say water media. I would say either. Yeah, canvases are easier to keep from blowing away. Although I did do the Inktense, the travel kit. I loved working in those. So that may be my like, if I was going to go work outside, I would probably go with Inktense, the travel kit. I do like acrylics outside though. I like airbrushing outside when I'm not worried about leaving dust all over. I haven't done it in forever. But I don't really like working outside that much because you see how pale I am. This burns quick. Does not matter if there is sunblock. There is no sunblock strong enough for this level of pale. That, the wind, the bugs, the sweating, it's just not fun to me. I like to be in my enclosed, temperature controlled environment because I'm a freaking pansy. But yeah, if I were to go outside, I would say the Inktense travel kit would be my preference. Let's see. Victoria said, "Hi Lisa, hope you're well." I am, thank you. Was wondering what sharpener you use for Derwent drawing Chinese white. Mine keep breaking. Any suggestions? A sharpener, like a new blade. But normally what I'm using, I think this is the one, is it fit? Yeah. It's just this little, this one's Coom. Somebody said that they sold out or don't make, I don't know, these just little metal sharpeners are my preference. If your pencils start breaking with them, then the blade is dull and you need a new blade. Paul said, what desktop laptop can you recommend for artists, be it digital, Photoshop, video editing, and other GPU melting apps? I go with gaming laptops. Mine's an MSI. I don't know if you need to go MSI. They're very expensive but it handles these live streams well. That's all I use this for. Any gaming laptop is probably going to be your safest bet. Something that can handle what we need as artists. Vilma said, I stick with my rescue mutts. I'm afraid to get pure breeds because of the breeding standards. I hate seeing animals in pain because of those standards. Well, that's the thing. Not all breeds are like that. Like Italian Greyhounds, they're not in pain from any of those standards. But like a German Shepherd, I won't buy one. A Pekingese would not, I'm not a little dog person, but not anymore. But breeds that have certain health things like that, I'm not going to go near. So one of the things that a lot of people misunderstood too, or don't understand, they think that mutt means healthier. Not necessarily, depends on the parents. If you had two purebreds with crap genes, and who lets mixed breeds breed? People who are not being responsible about those. They don't care if the parents had a hip dysplasia. They're just letting their dogs breed because they're being irresponsible. That's how mixed breeds are coming about. Now, I'm not saying mixed breeds aren't awesome dogs. I've had some that I adored. So don't take that as me bashing anybody who has a mixed breed, but they are just as valuable to me. But the people who intentionally breed a mixed breed don't give any craps about health. Whereas somebody who's breeding for showing, you're going to be more likely. All good breeders show, without exception. You can come at me with that, but it's true. Not all show breeders are good though. So, you have that balance that you have a lot of people, I'm just breeding for healthy for healthy, happy puppies, healthy, happy pets. No. You're not. Are you testing? And a vet check is not the same as knowing the lineage of a dog to know if I breed this dog to this dog, I'm more likely to have this problem pop up. And a good breeder is so aware of the different lines and what should not be bred because it may bring up a certain health issue, or they should be testing for whether it be, depending on the breed, hip dysplasia, patellas. Do they know what certain things, like there are tests we can do in most breeders who, if they're breeding a mutt, none of that's been done. So this concept that a mutt is healthier, it depends on the parents. It might be healthier, it might not. It depends on the parent. It depends on what parents were bred into that. So it's not a guarantee either way. I mean, nothing's ever a guarantee. But a lot of people, when I worked at the animal hospital, that was always, they were kind of surprised when they're like, but it's a mixed breed, I shouldn't be having these problems. And it's like, oh, it's a mixed breed. No one tested for those problems. That's kind of how that works. So yeah, there you go. And all the thumbs down came from the people who are mad at me about saying all good breeders are show breeders, because you have a lot of people who are like, either they are or they have family members who are backyard breeders. No, they're doing it good. I'm not saying they don't love their dogs. I'm saying they're not doing it. I wouldn't want one. We'll say that. Let's see. How to upset half my viewers. That is it. Where are we? Shada said, just join. Your live stream starts the same time I say my prayers, and I end up talking about my art, and I'm like, Lord, get my darks dark and my lights lighted up. That is awesome. I love it. TK said, have you ever watched Ink Master? So much great art. I have not. I don't have TV, so I don't really watch a whole lot of anything. Snow said, I had a similar conversation this week. Why don't you go outside? It's nice weather. It's sunny. Have you seen my pale face? I don't like sun. I'm a vampire for a reason. Where are we? Saying I have no problem with that either. Starving Artist Collective said, all my pets are rescues. I'm not paying $2,000 to $6,000 for a dog. Don't care how pretty. I don't blame you. No problem with that either. I mean, technically they came from an adoption place, so I paid what? $250, $350 a piece for them. So you know your adoption fees. So they weren't much. My Italian Greyhounds were more. They weren't that much. But what's funny too are a lot of the mixed breeds where it's a poodle mix. Those are going for outrageous prices. I can't believe what people are paying for mixed breeds. Someone said, I have been in my local art shop recently, and it's wild to see your Inktense cover on the tins from the other side of the world. That is so crazy to hear, too. Like, even me, when I go into, like, Michael's or Hobby Lobby and to see them there, it's like, it's surreal for sure. Drawing Girl said, hi, how archival is paint thinner zested? I heard for the first time that drawing with zested no longer looks good after 6 years. I've used materials that were Kohl-i-Noor and blue pad paper. I'm not familiar with those. Zested? I don't know what's zested. I know with OMS, you're fine. I've been using OMS for like 20 years. It's fine. And I mean, it's intended for art. It's not changing anything or shifting anything. I've heard bad results from using alcohol, like rubbing alcohol and different baby oil and stuff like that's going to give bad results. Zested, I just don't know. I don't use it. It's interesting. I actually would like to see the proof of, depending on the supplies they were using. Like I would love more information on that from whoever is experiencing that, because I've always heard that it was a good, sorry, allergies and itchy nose. I always heard it was a good alternative, but I don't know. I've never used it. I don't like the idea of something scented. It just doesn't sound like for me. Plus, it's not super easy to get here compared to like OMS, so just go to any art supply store. Paul said, I told the cashier that I know the artist who made the cover on the tin, and she's like, okay. I've had friends do that. So one of my friends went to a, wait, is this the color? No, this is the color I want. She went, was it Art of the Carolinas? I don't know, one of the big art events. And there was a lady who was standing there talking about the Liquitex basics, and she's like gushing over, oh, this artist I know uses them and loves these paints, and she's going on and on to the person running the booth, and my friend Kendra was like, I know Lisa Lachri, and she's like, yeah, you know her too? She's like, yeah, she's my really good friend. Like, she's one of, I don't have a lot of like close friends. Kendra is one of them. And she was like, yeah, I know her. And the lady's like, okay, like, sure you do. And Brett, her husband, comes up and she goes, oh, that's the paint Lisa likes. And he's talking, and she still didn't believe that Kendra knew me. She thought she was just like named her. It was funny. Septa said, how dogs are being deformed in the name of fashion and aesthetic, expound. You know, I don't mind if it's an extreme that doesn't hurt the dog. Like greyhounds, deep chest, long legs, they're healthy. They're very typically a healthy dog. When you adjust it so the dog can't breathe. So like pugs, most pugs now have to have surgery to allow them to breathe, because their nose is so smushed. They're adorable, but you know, we've gotten to a point where we went, so that's where I have a problem. When the dog can't function naturally on its own, something as simple as breathing, not overheating, breeding. English bulldogs, super cute. They can't breathe on their own. That's how extreme they've gotten. And it's like, that is where I'm like, okay, you crossed a line a long time ago I am not comfortable with. That is not okay. I don't mind breeding for aesthetics if the dog can function healthy and is not affected by any of those. So like, oh, this dog happens to have longer fur than the other. Dog's fine, he doesn't care. Dog can't walk right, that's a problem. Ladybug said, I am on MeWe, I'll have to share some piggy photos over there. Yay! Septa said, got that one. Maltese are running 14 for a female, a little less than males. Yeah, it just depends on the breeder and what the breed. It depends. And the funny thing is, you can go to a show breeder and it doesn't cost any more than going to a backyard breeder. I don't know why people don't go to more. Well, I do know why it's harder to find one. You'll be on a very long wait list because a good breeder does not breed that often. They're breeding to get more, show stock. And when I say stock, that sounds harsh. It's not. Breeders, like a good breeder, they love their dog. Trust me, probably more than most of us love our own. They love their dogs, like to an obsessive level, and that's why it's hard to get dogs from them because they want to make sure their puppies go to the best possible home. So that's another big bonus with a good breeder. They're not doing it to make money. They don't make a big profit. Like they barely make enough to pay for the vet bills, the show entry fees, and everything involved in all of that. They're not making money off it like a backyard breeder is. There's really not money in it. And so it's funny to me how many will pay these outrageous prices. I guess it's for the convenience because a good breeder doesn't always have puppies available. You may be waiting for years to get one from a good breeder. And that's after having developed a relationship with that breeder so they know they can trust you. It's a whole thing. Nellybug said, I only used Zested as it was easiest to get here. I've not had any issues with Lightfast, but now I'm concerned. I'd like to see the evidence too. How long have you been using it? I don't know. Maybe we should make a post in the art groups and ask if anybody has experienced that. I'm curious now. Nick said, I saw somewhere that they're actually reversing the extremes that were allowed to creep into the genetics, French Bulldogs. Yes, and I'm glad for that. Like, seriously, I just got goosebumps thinking about that. Because there's something wrong with me. But that's how much it bothers me that these dogs they can't live comfortably because they went to extremes. So the fact that they're undoing so, I like that. I very much like that. I never put the blue on the branch. Oh, that looks good. I love that blue glow. Can you guys see that very well? I don't know. I can see it really well in person. It doesn't, yeah, you guys can see it. And I'm not just outlining everything. I'm just kind of picking spots here and there. It makes such a difference. And when I go over this, part of it is over the branch, part of it is just over the paper. So I get this really nice soft transition. Septa said, how expensive are these dog shows though? Oh my God, you go broke. Each entry, so a dog show, normal dog circuits, like a normal show could be 2 days or 4 days, whether it's Friday through Monday or Saturday through Sunday. It depends on the show and how big it is. Each entry for each individual dog, gosh, 15 years ago I was paying, some of the shows were like $40, some of them were $35, some of them were $25. It depended on how many entries you had. Like there were some different variables. But when you've got multiple dogs, it gets very expensive. Now, add on to that, professional handler. Because if you want to do well, you're probably going to want a professional handler. Now that gets expensive, and a lot of people who show, they send it out, like if there's a professional handler they trust, that dog is boarded with the handler because the handler's training it, and the dogs, by the way, love this, except for Jessie. Jessie was a spaz, but I wouldn't have sent Jessie off with someone. She would have not loved that. But the actual, like, everything involved in that is pretty extreme price wise. But like I said, you've got your professional handlers, you've got the boarding fees to stay with the professional handlers, and they'll go, like, if somebody's really serious about showing, they're traveling all over the country with these dogs. So the travel costs, the hotel rooms, or the RV they had to buy to do this, like, it gets crazy. And then you've got to go back into, the good breeders are also doing tests. And I don't mean just going to the vet for a vet exam. I mean actual testing to check for hips, to check and get them certified. Oh, is it OFA? They get that certified. Hips is one. Like I said, patellas, I think I mentioned that. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. There are different things that they can do genetic testing on to make sure that the dog is not prone to. So there's that too. Somebody said, do you have to spend for the uniform and other hidden fees too? Well, it's not so much a yeah, you're supposed to wear suits. I didn't. I wore my, like, boho type clothes, which wasn't great. If you're showing with UKC, jeans and a t-shirt, you're fine. No one cares. AKC, the professional handlers are in there with their business suits and all of that. And so, yeah, that would be additional. I couldn't afford that. I was very broke at the time, so I could barely afford the entry fees. And I showed myself. I did not, because I wanted the experience of the whole thing. I wanted to do it myself. So there's that. When you show UKC wasn't much cheaper. It was getting really expensive. But UKC, you would have multiple shows, usually 2 shows per day. So I had 2 dogs I was showing. So there were 4 entries per day, 2 days in a row. Now 8 entry fees I had to pay. So that, like I said, it adds up. It gets really expensive so that you can win a 20-cent ribbon. Can we see the blue? Or we can't see the blue on the branch just fine. Oh, good. What a difference it makes, because it pulls that in, and it also makes it look like lighting is hitting it. And it's kind of random on where I'm putting this. There's no like, this is where the light's bouncing up. I'm not thinking about any of that. All I'm looking at is this would balance it out nicely. I think if blue was here, it would weigh this area down and it would look pretty. I'm not going by light is coming from this direction. None of that. None of that at all. Just on what do I think looks pretty. That's how I'm deciding what goes on here. Let's see. Okay, let's pull some of this blue on the bubbles now. And I apparently can't stay inside the lines, so let's remove some of that. And this is with the Faber-Castell Perfection Eraser. Now, certain paper things are going to erase easier than other papers. The Canson Mi-Teintes erases pretty easy in combination with this specific eraser. And this eraser, the Faber-Castell Perfection Eraser, this is the only eraser I really like for colored pencil. I used to use the electric erasers. The problem is they're kind of gummy, and it like mushes it or slides the pencil over instead of like, it just didn't, this actually erases. So this is my, like the best by far eraser for colored pencil, but depending on the paper you're using, you may just smudge it. Here, because I'm on the Canson Mi-Teintes, it erases pretty well. And this is the Caran d'Ache Luminance. This one's turquoise blue that I'm using here for the highlight. I'll definitely need to get some purple in those bubbles too. Make a deeper purple. And then the brightest highlight will be done with the Touch Up Texture Titanium White. So this will likely end up doing the final details next week. I doubt, because we still have to do this down by corner with the leaves. That's the word I'm looking for. Words are hard. But we've got to do that next week. And then I'll probably do all the touch-up texture then. And then the following week, we will be in the office designing our next piece together. Maybe I can put a fish cam on, wake my fish up early so you can watch them, my clownfish wiggle around or something. I'm curious how that's going to go. I may have to do a test because the reef tank is kind of loud in there. And by kind of, I mean, it is loud in there. I don't know why I said kind of. It's not kind of anything. It is loud. So I'm curious with that combined with the Rode wireless mic, if it cuts that out enough, or there are a few things I can try. I can turn off the overflow and just leave the inside pumps and then it's quiet, but I don't really want to do that for 2 hours. Septa said, kids can be heavy-handed with dogs. How do you approach such a situation? It is important for both the dog and the safety of the child to get on that quick. There is no, like, if somebody brings their kid over and their kid is reaching and being a little bit too heavy-handed, the kid and dog need to be separated. You don't want to wait to see what happens, because sometimes a dog will be fine with it and sometimes a dog is going to lose his temper. Like, I warned you, I didn't want this, and you were letting this kid hit on me and pull on me and all of that. And parents who do that, they're so irresponsible. It drives me crazy. Look how cute it is. No, it's not cute. There's nothing about that scenario. And you see videos like this. Oh, look how calm my dog is. People like to do that with pit bulls. Look how calm the pit bull is while my child is pulling on its ear. I guess it was some sort of, let's flex how calm my pit is. I don't care what breed you have. That's not okay. It's not okay. It's not fair to the dog or the child when the child gets his face bit and then the dog has to be put to sleep because of it. So if somebody were to come around and the kids are swinging, they need to be separated immediately. Does that mean my dog goes and stays in the crate? Like if somebody was visiting, does the dog stay in the crate? Does the kid keep being held? It depends on the age of the kid. But that isn't something, I'm not going to worry about offending my guests, because I don't have kids, but I'm not going to worry about offending my guests because I told their kid to knock something off, because they're going to be a lot more mad at me when my dog eats their face. So that's a very, you watch how they are together. And it's the same thing, like my friend came over with his puppy Corgi, not last week, the weekend before. you watch the dogs. They're dogs. You don't know for sure what they're going to do, and you want to make sure everyone involved is safe. So, you know, some common sense goes a whole long way. Well, I guess not so far when you have none. And too many people do not. Gail said, my sister-in-law got female crossbred. See, I can't even say that. It's a Chihuahua mix. That's absolutely neurotic. She's aggressive and barks and growls at everyone. Do you know if it can be trained or it's just a trait? I don't know why people mix those two. I don't think that is one of the ugliest mixes. I'm sorry for her dog. I don't know why you would want Dachshunds, adorable. Chihuahuas, adorable. That mix does not look cute together. I don't get some of these mixes people are doing. Although I've seen some of them that are so ugly, that makes them cute. So maybe that's it. But you're talking about two breeds. Dachshunds they're kind of these one-person dogs. They have their favorite person. Everyone else can just be gone as far as they're concerned. But they can be very, very aggressive towards other people. Now you combine that with a Chihuahua who thinks he's a lot bigger than he is. That is just not a good combination. Personality, looks, I do not know why people do this on purpose. But, and I personally refuse to use the designer dog names for them because I'm like, that's not a breed. That is a made up word. I make up words all the time because I think it's funny. You're being serious about it. Not you personally, but the people who bred them. But anyway, training will help. The dog's always going to be that's the dog. That is the breed. You mix two breeds that should not be mixed. And you can have some that are mixed that are calm. I mean, again, it goes back to genetics. What were the parents like? Were the parents calm? Because sometimes you'll get a calm Chihuahua, sometimes you'll get a calm Dachshund. You mix it, and sometimes you'll get a neurotic one. You never know. But I mean, there's no guarantee. But when you're mixing that, you don't know. So, like an example, people mix do the lab poodle mix all the time. Cool dogs. I actually like them, but you don't know, are you getting more lab? Are you getting more poodle in that personality? You don't know what you're getting. And so it's kind of the same here. So absolutely do the training without a doubt. That can help. It's never going to be a 100% cure, but it can help. The other thing is to exhaust the dog. And I don't mean to the point of it can't move. Like, I don't mean exhaust it like that. A dog who is well worked is typically very happy. So let it, take it out on, when I say on walks, I don't mean the stupid flexi leads where the dog's all over the place. That dog's not working. That dog's out sniffing. Take it, make it heel, teach it to heel, walk on your side. When you stop, it sits. It should be watching for whatever command you give it. Make the dog work. The dog likes it, but it gives it a job, and it gives it, if you can kind of wear it out physically that way too, that can help to an extent. But those are two breeds that I would never, I don't know why people do that, the things they do. But yeah, I mean, train it, but you can only train so much out of when you have natural, a dog, like their natural instinct. I have greyhounds. I can train them to come when called all I want. If they're out and they see a rabbit, that dog is gone. So the dog always has to be out. Those dogs will never be off leash in the open, anywhere, ever. Because it doesn't matter how well trained they are in that, their natural instinct is going to override the training in most cases. So I may be able to break their attention from the rabbit and get them back. I may not. It's hit or miss. And I think, so it's not that you don't want to train, because that hit or miss, I'm going to take hope for the chance that they do come back. But, well, I'm never going to let them off the leash. But that you've got natural, what is the word I'm looking for? Their natural instinct is you can only train that out to a certain extent. Now some training, no matter what, it's going to be better than nothing. I just don't think you're going to end up with the personality of a basset hound when you've got a Chihuahua and a Dachshund mixed together, if that makes sense. Bassets are very lazy and very calm, if you're unaware. Let's see. Shayna said, I have always used Zest It without any problems. Christy Partridge always uses it in every colored pencil tutorial if you wanted reference to Zest It. Good to know. Actually, I should talk to her. There's a fungus gnat in here. I should talk to her about that and see, because I think she's been using it for years. Velma said, you made some good points. Thank you. We have been lucky with the mixed breeds. The one sad was with a Siamese cross cat that we had to put to sleep because of her kidneys failure. I had a cat. I had a female. I had a Himalayan, actually. She was purebred, and she had kidney problems very young. That's no fun. Simon said, kind of sounds inhumane to breed dogs of different kinds. It depends. I mean, every breed was achieved by mixing other breeds. if you're breeding with a goal of and a purpose, so like I'm looking for a hunting dog, but it needs to have a coat thick enough to protect it from the brambles, or there are reasons that somebody would mix certain breeds trying to get certain traits, and I'm fine with that. My issue is when you're just randomly mixing, so it's a designer dog. You're not breeding for health. You're not. People think, oh, it's a mixed breed, so it's going to be healthier. Well, they lie to them about that. That is just not true. Yeah, it is frustrating. Seb just said, how about with animal rescue? Do you think it's real? What is your opinion? Well, what do you mean with animal rescue? Are you talking about those shows? Or people who just rescue animals? I mean, there are individuals, and I know a lot who are involved with different breed rescues, so like Italian Greyhound rescue, Greyhound rescue, but it's not rescue. Greyhound, you wouldn't call it a rescue because those dogs were never in danger. People like to do the whole, oh God, these sad stories of the dog was so abused because he was forced to race. You cannot force a dog to run. They run because they think it's the funnest thing in the world. They love it. And people do, well, they're race and they're run till they can't run anymore. No, they're not. That's not. It's always from people who have never seen to a race, have never been to a racing kennel, know nothing about the racers. These dogs, like to me, when I get a retired racer, it's a challenge to make sure they're as happy with their life with me as they were before. They loved their life. These are not unhappy dogs. So, or they weren't then. I'll just need to make sure, well, Wade's lazy enough. This is what you see with Wade. I think Wade's happier not being a racing dog. But Gibson, the running, he loves to run. So, we don't, with Greyhounds, we don't call it really a rescue. I call it more of an adoption place. But it's, yeah, they were never in danger. But there are a lot of individual, like, breed-specific rescues that do amazing work to find dogs homes. They'll pull them out of the humane societies. Like, if there's a shelter or a kill shelter, they'll go pull the dog and find it a home. That is freaking awesome. I love that people do that. But, the shows, the rescue shows, I don't know. A lot of the shows I've seen on TV were run by HSUS, and which is tied in with PETA. They are not a good. Their goal is not to, like, they look like they're trying to help and save animals. They put more animals to sleep than what they save. They don't, like, it is dirty. And the amount that people donate to them, like the sad Sarah McLachlan song of "In the Arms of the Angels," whatever, and the so sad dog. I can put that song on Wade sleeping right there perfectly happy and you'll think so sad dog. But those commercials, they get you to donate. That money, it is like, God, I forget what the percentage was, like less than 1% or I don't know, a very small amount, 3%. I forget what it is, goes to actual shelters. They don't. The money goes towards animal rights lobbying. And their goal is for you not to have a dog. They don't want anyone having dogs. That is their goal. Wayne, I forget his name. That was in his bio. His goal is for no one to have pets. Why are we giving money to these people? I want to give money to actual shelters. Like, go to your local humane society, donate there. Go to your, like, a breed-specific rescue, or even a mixed breed, whatever you want. There are rescues for everything. Go and give the money to them. They need it, not HSUS that you see on these TV shows where they are actually taking that money to lobby against your right to have an animal. And every time I talk about this on these videos, somebody comes and goes, that's not true. Do your research. You've not researched. The fact that you're saying that to me right now tells me you've done no research. I have. Sorry. I'm very passionate about this because the idea that somebody wants me not to have such awesome critters over here, like, I love my animals. And the fact that somebody wants to take that, like, their goal is for that not to be a thing. Nope. Wow, I've got a lot of rants today, don't I? Where are we? Sneak said, my pom has a really strong prey instinct and has never been off leash. Should something she considers prey cross her path, she become deaf and just run for the rabbit. Yep, and that is, like, that's what these guys would do. So you just have to be prepared for that and know, like, I train them. They're both trained to come when called. If there's a bunny, that is not happening. Let's see. Angelique said, structured walk with good heel, sit when I stop, no sniff, ignore other dogs kind of walk. That also helps mentally exhaust the dog. Exactly. And they love it. Like, people will do the whole, well, the dog's not having fun then if he can't walk and sniff and lift his leg on everything. Gibson has never been allowed to walk like that. He walks at my side. When I first got him, he tried to sniff. He walks at my side. Your head is to be up all the time. If his head drops, I just say leave it. He leaves it. He loves, and that dog begs me when he wasn't feeling well the other night, Wednesday night after the live stream, he insisted on a walk. He loves his walk. So people that do the whole, they're not having fun. Yeah, they are. That dog thinks that is a highlight. He would rather go on a walk than eat. He has a very structured walk. He doesn't sit when we stop because greyhounds can't sit. Some of them can. Mine are not in that group. So it's like physically uncomfortable because they're shaped weird. But so we don't sit when we walk, but he stands at my side calmly. And when we're walking, he's constantly looking up at me, checking with me like, am I doing good, Mom? Everything's good, Mom? He's so cute. But he loves it. And it's very structured and it's the best thing for him. Snow said, my parents had 2 purebred Cocker Spaniels. They had health issues. Both died young. One cancer, same as her mom, and the other from an aneurysm, same as her mom. And that's a thing that drives me crazy. So there's an Italian Greyhound breeder who is considered a reputable breeder. She's up in Canada. I don't consider her a reputable breeder because of the choices she makes. She loves her dogs. I don't doubt that for a second. But she's breeding off a cancer line. So her dogs go back to dogs from Southern California. This is the drama everyone wanted, right? Go back to a line in Southern California. They bred these dogs. The mom of this one litter, she was like 6 years old, and she started having, or actually I think she was younger when she started having symptoms. They did, and she was winning. Her and her offspring were winning in the show ring because they were beautiful. But she started having weird symptoms. They took her to the vet. She was diagnosed with a brain cancer, or brain tumor. They bred her again, knowing this young dog. That's genetic. Why would you do that? So they bred her again, and every single dog that goes back to those dogs, so we're talking in the 80s, every dog that goes back to those dogs today ends up with cancer. And they're getting cancer at like 6, 7 years old. For an Italian Greyhound, that is not normal. Like Echo was, 12, 13 when she got cancer? That's more what you're gonna see. When you're having it happen on 5-year-old, 6-year-old, there have been some I think that were 4 years old, and you keep breeding on these lines because it wins in the show ring, that is an irresponsible breeder. So I don't care who thinks she does good. She takes care of her dogs, and the dogs are beautiful. And you're breeding on cancer lines. And then she'll do this. She would post in the forums. I was on when dog forums were a bigger thing than they are now. Let's see. Is this the purple I want? No. She would post, why do the cancer gods hate me? Because you keep breeding them intentionally. What did you think was going to happen? It was so frustrating. And knowing, like, if I said anything, like, I was friends for a while, she ended up being kind of crazy, but I was friends with somebody who had her dogs, and he commented on, I think she's irresponsible, and she went off on me, like, absolutely not, she's not. What do you call it when somebody keeps breeding knowing they keep having the same health lines? But in her case, she's not going to want to stop breeding because this is her foundation, were these the line Mira was the cancer line. Hers are not called Mira, so I'm not outing anything there. But if Mira is in a pedigree, I don't want the dog. I mean, I'm not doing Italian Greyhounds anymore anyway. But it was like, I mean, those are cancer dogs. So yeah, it drives me crazy when breeders know and they still breed on those lines. See, and that's a case of just because you're a show breeder doesn't mean you're a good breeder. So while I say every good breeder is a show breeder, not every show breeder is a good breeder. So there we go. Snow said, I got that one. So said, made me wary about purebred Cocker Spaniels. They seem to be more bred for looks than health, and that bugs me. It depends on the breeder. You've got to find the right breeder, because like the breeder, Jessie, and unfortunately her breeder passed away, but she knew the lines. She knew everything about every health problem any one of her dogs had, and which ones would not be a good idea to cross with this one. And I mean, this woman was so into the lineage and knowing which health concerns, and Italian Greyhounds don't typically have that many problems. Seizures are common with them, would be one of the bigger ones, but they don't usually have a lot. Like, they don't have problems with their hips typically or different things like that. But Lynn knew Jessie's line. Like, she knew everything in those lines, and she would avoid anything that would potentially crop up. That's what you want to see in a breeder. It doesn't mean that something can't go wrong. It just means you're taking all the precautions possible. Gab said he just joined one of your dog's names. I've got Gibson is the black one and Wade is the cow. Velma said, we've gone to the Humane Society. And that's a good place to go, honestly. if you're not picky, for me, I'm more picky about what I want in a breed. Like, I'm looking for specific traits, so it's better for me to either go through a breed specific rescue or find a reputable breeder, so I get like the dog that fits my neurotic needs, because I'm not all here. Like, I want very specific traits in a dog. Someone said, is PETA a good organization for dogs? PETA is a group of terrorists, and I'm not saying, like, they are, honestly, that is what they are. They use the cover of we're there for animals, we want to protect animals, animal rights. That sounds great. That sounds awesome. That is not what they do. PETA, their people will go to a dog show and open crates that dogs are in and set them free. Now the dog gets eaten by another dog or ran over by a car, or you're not helping dogs because they think it's evil. The dogs, minus Jessie, Echo thought dog shows were the best. Like, she loved dog. You take that dog in the ring and she was so happy the whole time. She thought that was great. She's getting some extra attention. Loved it. So, and that's how most dogs that show are. But no, PETA is not good for anything. They're an absolutely crap group. And it sucks because I remember as a kid having like my PETA stickers and like, that's a good thing. No, look into it. Look into what they actually believe. If you were an animal lover, PETA is not the group for you, that's for sure. And it's not a difference of somebody arguing, I think you should only get rescue dogs versus purebred dogs. Both people love dogs. PETA? Nope. Nope. All I'm saying, do your research. Where are we? Septa said, not me listening to Sarah McLaughlin's Angel at your end. Tara said, I think their answer great is keeping my mind off pain. Oh, I'm sorry you don't feel well. Me too. My back is killing me right now. So, I'm with you on that. We can be pain sisters. That sounds terrible. It also sounds like a band name. We could do that. I've got the electric violin. I don't know what you're going to play. Snow said, love shouldn't be blind, it should be smart. If you love pets, you should learn about genetics if you breed them. Absolutely. Makes me so mad when they don't care and they say they love them. Yep. I'm absolutely with you on that. And I love them, but I'm not breeding them because I'm not willing to get into it is heartbreaking in many cases because you may have a litter and lose the mom. I was never like, that was the thing when Jesse's breeder contacted me because Jesse, Jessie had just been gestated, like the mom had just been bred when I contacted her breeder. And so I was involved with Jessie from the time she was conceived pretty much. And so when I got her, the breeder before I took her home, the breeder was like, would you be interested in showing? And I said, yeah, but I will not breed. I do not want my dogs bred because there's always a risk something goes wrong in the delivery process. I'm not risking I can't do it. I don't have the strength to go through that, and I have tons of respect for people who do it, but I am not one of them. Like, there's so much involved, so it was not something I was ever going to get into. Plus, you've got to learn genetics, and you've got to learn all that stuff to do it right and not make choices like the person who breeds for cancer dogs. Let's see. Lori said, you just go ahead and love your critters. I'm with you. Grew up on a farm, had many kinds of animals. Old now, so my pets are outdoor squirrels, chipmunks, and songbirds. There is nothing wrong with that. It's funny. I said this since we moved here. I love my bird feeders outside because I have to clean the dish and stuff, but it's not like I get to enjoy them without having to super take care. Like, if I forget to put food out one day, we'll get food somewhere else. It's not the end of the world. Actually, probably from my neighbor 2 houses down because they put food out too. But there's a lot of us who feed them out here. But yeah, I like the outdoor. The wild critters are pretty handy to be able to they take care of themselves. Let's see. Zika said, hi Lisa, I'm glad I finally made it to a stream. I got promoted to reception supervisor. Yay. However, I am missing too many streams. How are you? Hope the critters are great. Thank you. And congratulations on the promotion. That's awesome. Yeah, we're all good. Everybody seems good here. Still, the typical fighting with parasites on one frog. The other frog's doing good. All the usual. Gibson wasn't feeling well Wednesday. I'm giving you the rundown. I'm just wrapping it all up. But he's good now. Yeah, I think that's about it over here. Congratulations on the promotion. That's awesome. Let's see. I remember you saying you've never tried woodless colored pencils. Would you be up for trying them? They make backgrounds so much easier if I sent you some. Well, what brand is it? Because I don't want you to have to send them to me. Let me know. I'm ready to write it down, but I'm going to have to wait until I see it on the thing. Let me know the brand because that's going to matter to me if they're light passed or not. Lori said, but really considering a reef tank. Now that is some work. That is, although I will say my bigger one is so much easier to do the maintenance on. I mean, I have to lift more water. Maybe that's why my back is so angry. You have to lift more water, but like just maintaining water quality and all of that is so much easier on the big one than like everything. Little maintenance things are so much easier on the new big tank than it was on the nano reef. So, you know, go bigger, make your life easier. Io said, I had rescues my whole life, but my husband and I decided to get a purebred Bengal, and he had seizures for many years, but I think he finally outgrew it. Oh, wow. Cat's Art Pig said, is Gibson feeling better? He is. He's such a princess. So his thing, I think, was the upset stomach. We had that. Wednesday was the worst of that. And then so I withheld food for 24 hours. Well, Gibson, if he skips too much, like he gets to where he's almost like he just doesn't want to eat anymore. He's like, fine, well, then I won't eat ever again. I'm done. So we kind of hit that stage. So I had made Wednesday night the chicken, sweet potato, and rice, made that even warm. He had no interest. He wasn't going to eat it. He'd sniff it and he's like, no, I'm not eating this. So, which is weird for him. So, I mean, not weird in the sense that he hadn't eaten. So that part I kind of expected, but to turn down chicken. So yesterday morning, I figured that was what was going on. He still didn't want to eat it. So I took him out. I had to take him outside. So because Wade wanted it, I just shoved a little piece of chicken in his mouth, and I kind of held his mouth closed while I'm petting him. And so, you know, he didn't think it was a bad thing, but he kept trying to spit it out. And then the last time he spit it out, he looks at it. And he's like, I think I miss having that chicken in my mouth. He ate that and then inhaled the rest of it. I only gave him a little bit because he hadn't eaten in too long. I don't want to make him sick. And inhaled the rest. So yes, he is, ever since that moment, he is like, feed me nonstop again. And he's still eating. I made the stuff. I think I have enough to feed him through today and maybe tomorrow morning with the chicken, rice, and sweet potato, just because it's easier to digest. So since he had the upset stomach, we'll just do that for a few days. But no, he's doing great. Demanded his walk last night. Like, he gets very pushy. So yeah, I'm going over this. I'm just blending with the Heather color here, so I don't even have to use OMS on that to blend. But yeah, I was definitely relieved when he started definitely. He feels better. I was worried. Tara said, sure, I'll play the radio or sing, but heads up, I'm terrible. That's why I don't sing. I've been in bands for years. Or not now, but I mean, I was. And when they would ask me to sing, like, trust me, you don't want that. No. Let's see. Do I put milk in my coffee? I put creamer, so I guess kind of. It's the, like, Coffee Mate creamer. Ladybug said she'll be on guitar if my arthritis can handle it. That's me in the violin right now. The Petrified Gardener said, I have a friend that started a 501c group called Rescue Bank after Katrina. They go to dog food companies. They take all the food to be tossed to redesigns and give it to shelters. That is awesome. That is so cool. Actually, you know, it was really bad talking about HSUS. That's the Humane Society of the United States. Very deceiving. They don't run humane societies. They just take your money, and they show these videos of the dogs in the shelter. If you only $5 a month or only $2 a month can save this dog. No, it won't. That isn't what you're doing. It's a lie. Those commercials, I don't know how they can get away with straight out lying. So my mom was giving all during Katrina money because she was like, the dogs needed blankets, they needed all this stuff. And then she found out none of that. They weren't providing any of it. They were just taking the money. And people still protect them. People still stand up for them. And whatever, do your research. Don't give money to these big organizations. Find the small Humane Society and send the money to them. Your local Humane Society, your local shelters. Let's see. Speaking of wild... Whoop, that just jumped. Where were we? Speaking of wild critters, we live on the edge of a town, and we get all kinds that come through the balcony on the second floor. Last time we had a bat in the kitchen. Oh my gosh! Septa said, PETA are very selective too. Like now they're focusing on saving bees. I'm all for saving bees. They'll do things that you're like, I'm for that. I agree with that. And a lot of groups do that. That you're like, on the surface, that sounds wonderful. But then look at what they're actually doing. What are they actually accomplishing, and what are they actually damaging more often than not? It is frustrating. They are Kohl Nor Progresso woodless colored pencils. I haven't tested them myself for light fastness, but I know Carrie Lewis said they've got good light fastness on her website. I'll have to look into that. Linda said, I have 2 Papillons I got from a great breeder, but I did have to go through a vetting process before I got them. My vet gave me a lecture on rescue. I've had many rescue animals. I would not go back to that vet. You don't get, why would I come to you like you're making treat my animal? No, there's nothing wrong with buying from a reputable breeder. I would rather, what happens when somebody goes to the shelter? Now, I'm all for going to the shelter too. It depends on the person's personality. If I were to go to the shelter, I get a dog that's personality type. I'm like, it's cute, it's a mutt. I don't know what it is, it's adorable, but its personality type doesn't fit in with my home. What's going to happen? It's going to end up back in the shelter. Okay, not me personally, but let's say that's what happens. These dogs end up in the shelter because people are getting dogs that aren't a fit for them. If they got a breed that they had researched, now of course a lot of people aren't researching or going through the vetting process like what you did. It's a long thing to get the dog you want. I wouldn't go back to that vet. I would never give that vet my money. If you're going to start lecturing me on my personal choices, I have the right to choose that. Just like you have the right to choose to go to a, I'm all for any choice you want, whatever gets you the dog that is right, a fit for you. But one of the reasons that so many dogs end up in the Humane Society is because people get dogs based on looks or whatever, and they weren't vetted by a proper, so your breeder vetted you. Your breeder made sure you know this was going to be the right dog for you. A good breeder is going to tell you all of the negative about their personality. My breeder made sure I knew Jesse was going to potty on the floor. When I was younger, I was like, oh, I'll clean it up, no big deal. I'll potty train, it'll be good. As I got older, that was no fun. I was not okay with that anymore. But I mean, you want to know all the negatives, whether it be health-wise, personality-wise. A good breeder is going to let you know all of that. Backyard breeder, you're going to tell you nothing but the good. A Humane Society, going to tell you nothing about but the good. Oh, this is perfect for you. And if you end up with a dog that's not a fit for you, it's not fair for the dog who ends up back in the Humane Society. And this is what drives me crazy when people are so anti-purebred. Some people, like me, need to know what personality type I'm getting in order that it's what's best for me and the dog. So yeah, I would not go back to that. I don't care how good that vet is. I'd find a new vet. That is absolutely unacceptable. Where does he think he's getting his money? People who breed dogs. That's what pays his bills, but whatever. Let's see. And again, I'm not opposed to mixed breeds and having, that's awesome. That's what my in-laws, and I would recommend they always stick with that. That works for them, but it drives me crazy. Simon said, so what am I supposed to do? PETA approved products, are they real? No. It's who they buy. PETA got very heavily involved with Facebook. There's a reason, they're lobbyists. They're not for the animals, they're for control. And that is maybe I should call it control book, because that's kind of what fake book is. But they're not doing it for the right reason. Anything that has PETA's name on it, I'm pretty much like, well, I don't trust you anymore. I don't trust your product. I want nothing to do with anything they're involved in. And it sounds like they mean well. No, they don't. Nope. Linda said, don't use that vet ever again. Yep. Septa, why are some pets rehomed? It depends. It can be for a lot of things. More often than not, I would say the number one cause is somebody gets a dog that is not a fit for them. They'll get a husky and not realize that husky needs a lot of exercise. They're meant to race across the snow for hours on it. They need a lot of exercise. And when the husky starts eating its house, ends up in the Humane Society. They'll get different dogs they're just hunting breeds that people expect. They want a dog who lays on the couch all day. And that's not what a lot of these dogs are bred for. Now, there are dogs who are pretty much bred for that, and that would be a better fit for them, but they didn't do the research. They said, that's a cute dog. I want it because of its look. They don't do the research, or they don't learn to train the dog. I mean, you have to train them too. No dog starts out exactly a fit for you. And so people don't do the research into the training necessary. The time necessary. They want a cute dog to lay on the floor, but then they get a dog that is meant to hunt, that is meant to run, that is meant to whatever, and they don't do the research on what that personality type is and if it's going to be a fit for their home. You have a lot of people will get a dog and then they have kids and then they decide the dog's no longer a fit for them. People will get a dog and then move and decide the dog's no longer a fit for them. People will get a dog, the dog gets old and is no longer fun and cute, and now it's not a fit for them. You have a lot of people who are just irresponsible getting dogs for the wrong reasons. So, I mean, there are multiple reasons that a dog ends up in the Humane Society, but those would be some of the bigger ones. The biggest is people who get a breed that is just not a fit. Snow said, personality is so important in certain pets, like our cats are a great fit for us, but I've had cats that are basically a constant battle with my own personality. Yeah, Nick is exactly right. Some people want a dog for a decoration or an accessory. Yeah, and I mean, you're gonna want a dog based on looks to an extent. You want to think the dog is cute because when Wade eats my shoes, if I didn't think he was just the cutest bad cow ever, I might be a little bit more upset than I should be. So the cuteness kind of helps them when they do something that you're like, oh, did you seriously just eat another shoe? It's like, but you're the cutest bad cow, so okay, don't do it again. 2 weeks later, I left a shoe out and he ate that too. But, I do think you should like the way your dog looks, but it can't be your primary, thing. Lynn says, Huskies have the most hair per square inch than all dogs. Well, and it's funny too, that would be another potential thing. A lot of people will go based on, I just want a short-haired dog. Okay, but does that short-haired dog have the right personality type for you? Or in our case, my husband, someday he'll end up with his corgi. He really wants a corgi. I don't want to deal with the amount they shed. Although when I've played with that puppy, oh my gosh, I was tempted. Wine plus cute puppy makes you want to go get that puppy, let me tell you. So I found that out that night. And I'm the one who was always like, no, they shed too much. Oh my gosh, playing with the cute, oh, so much cuteness. I'm not doing it, but 2 dogs is enough for me. But man, are they cute. But the coat, the shedding. Some people will get rid of the dog because it sheds too much. There was one woman in my neighborhood group, gosh, it made me mad. She had an old, I believe hers was a Malamute mix. Dog was 12 and a half years old. So you're already at the end of that dog's life and now you decided that it doesn't fit your lifestyle. You're a jerk. You're a horrible, horrible human. And just so she wanted to find it a home. I think she ended up dropping it off at the Humane Society, and people ripped her apart for that. And she then felt that she was the victim. Jerk. Lynn said, we have sled dogs all over New Hampshire. Well, that makes sense up there. They don't make as much sense to me down here in Texas where it gets hot. My dog's not gonna love it as much. Then again, my Italian Greyhounds hated Texas in the winter too, so I just put sweaters on them. I guess there are things you can help them with. Okay, let's see. We need to switch over to these bubbles. Well, let's get some highlights on here. Shelly said, I spent over an hour on my bike the other day trying to round up our neighbor's 3 Huskies that keep jumping their back fence. Ugh. See, and that's really common too. I mean, they get bored. What are they going to do when they get bored? They're going to figure out how to get themselves into trouble because they're bored. One of my biggest pet peeves are people who do not keep their dogs in the yard. Your dog gets out once, okay. Now you know it's an issue and you're going to go solve that issue. We've got I almost called her a swear word. It rhymes with witch, in case you were wondering, that lives down the street. Luckily, she's kind of on the other end of the neighborhood. I don't walk over there. Her dogs end up over here. She's got a white German Shepherd, and white German Shepherds tend to not be quite right in the head. It's kind of common with them. And a Rottweiler. She thinks her white German Shepherd is a Husky. That's how smart this idiot is. And they're not spayed and neutered, so they reproduce regularly. She's always, finding homes for those dogs. But they're also always getting out. They've gotten out of her yard. Sometimes she'll open the door and they run away. Sometimes they're jumping the fence. Oh, more often than not, they're jumping the fence. I mean, and it's constant. It is a constant thing. And but they're friendly. It's a Rottweiler and a German Shepherd. They run up to Gibson. Gibson's going to snarl at them because that's what Gibson does. But Gibson will be on a leash, so he's in the right. He can snarl. And we've got a fight that he's not going to win. So it's just, gosh, that drives me. Because I should be able to feel safe to walk my dog in my own neighborhood. I can't when somebody can't keep their dog in the yard. If you can't keep it in the yard, find it a new home, a better home. Because your dogs are going to get hit by a car because you're too irresponsible. Find it somebody that can take care of it. Let's see. The Petrified Gardener said, my aunt was looking into getting another dog and I had to speak up. They wanted a hunting breed but are never home, and they wanted a pug but didn't know you had to clean the wrinkles. That's funny. Pugs are cute, but my bigger thing too is I don't know of anybody who's gotten a pug recently that the dog didn't end up needing some sort of a surgery to open up the airways because they can't breathe. It's crazy. Nellybug said, one of my piggies was put up for adoption at 4 years old by this girl who no longer wanted her because her favorite guinea pig died. Now she has the life of luxury and gets so much love here. I'm so glad you got her. Oh, See, that makes me happy. And in the case of like the Malamute, the woman who decided at the end of his life stage he needed a new home, and it's like, one, that dog's not going to adjust well. He's used to your home. He's used to your environment. If you get a dog, like I have no problem. If somebody gets a dog by 2 years old, they're like, this is just not, we have tried everything. This is not working out for us. I have no problem with the person rehoming him. Putting him in the Humane Society, I've got an issue with. But finding it a better home, no problem. 2-year-old dog has no problem. These boys were 2 when I got them. They have no problem adjusting to a home, and it's easy to find it a good home. You're not going to find many people who want a 12, almost 13-year-old Malamute. Like, it's not going to happen. So there's that just being irresponsible thing of it. Linda said, any animal you get should have a forever home. I'm extreme, but I feel you cannot bring him into the house and not make it a member of the family. Don't get one. To an extent, yes, I agree with you. But if you get a dog, like I had a cat. I had my one Himalayan, and I got a cat. I was working in the animal hospital. It was a stray. We brought in, we got her spayed, all that. Super sweet cat. She was not working out. She just wasn't. She was fighting with my cat. They were having peeing wars on this one chair that I had to replace. It was a whole thing. She did not work out. Worst cat I've ever owned. She was throwing herself at my reef aquarium. The whole tank would start swaying, and you're just like, oh God. So this, that tells you how long ago this was. This was, near 20 years ago. Worst cat, I know this was 20 years ago. Worst cat I've ever owned. Sweet cat, but she didn't fit in with my house. So we found her a home. And the new people who got her said that was the best cat they've ever had. So the cat was better off being in a place that really appreciated her, but she was young. I didn't wait till she was 12 and then decided she was no fun anymore. If you're finding a home that is better suited for that animal, I think that can be better. I would much rather see that than somebody keep an animal that they don't really like. They're not treating super well. They're not giving it enough attention. They're not taking care of it. I have no problem with someone realizing that early on. I made a mistake. This isn't a fit for me. I have no problem with that. Don't wait until it's 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, where it's hard to find the right home, and then it's harder for the animal to adjust. So, I think that there are exceptions to everything, and there are times when it is better to rehome the animal, but not when they're older. Like, that's just, that one drives me crazy. Oops. But I also agree with you, if you don't plan on keeping it, just if people did their research, it would avoid so many problems. But like I said with that cat, I worked at an animal hospital. I didn't not understand how cats work, but I could not get her and my other cat. We worked with them for months, and it was just getting worse. And it's like, it's not fair to the cats to be living like this. Do Texans own crocodiles as pets? I don't know. Not that I'm aware of, but who knows what people do. Steven said, am I allowed to use your photos of Glitch as reference work for sketchbooks? Sorry if this has been asked before. Absolutely. Go for it. I was actually thinking, so maybe you guys can give me some advice here. Someone had brought up that they thought I should have a higher tier in Patreon. My problem is that if I have a higher tier, I like how these bubbles are coming out. If I have a higher tier, I can't have anything that takes a lot more time for me to do. I don't have time to do what I'm already supposed to do. So anything with a higher tier, those rewards have to be something that really doesn't take much extra work for me. So I was wondering if that higher tier would be like permission to use every single photo. I was just thinking about this earlier today. Every photo I post on MeWe, every single frog, every single fish, anyone on that tier would have full permission to use that in their own artwork. I was thinking about maybe that, because it's like I'm already posting that, but you would know if you're on that tier, you've got permission to use anything. I post some cool flowers, they're yours to use. If I post, whatever it is yours to use in your reference work, besides my own paintings. So I was thinking about maybe that. I don't know. I'm trying to think of ways to have a higher tier, because it's being requested, but I don't know what to have as the reward there. So let me know if you think of anything. Hold on, let me make sure that my delivery is not here yet. I've got some emails. Welcome, Suhani, to Patreon. If you're watching, thank you for joining us. Okay, it doesn't look like anything's here yet. I'm still waiting on my crickets to come for the frogs, and I've got some new plants. I'll be posting that later tonight. I'm going to I'm just going to add some more plants to Glitch's enclosure. She seems to like them. So I'm going to give her some new ones, and I got some new, I don't know if you can see the bio orb, there we go, behind me. I'm going to, I really want to get the frog out of there and stick him in another one. I just can't catch him. But I want to give him some new plants so he has better hiding spots. Because right now the plants that are in there are just, they've been in there a year. They need some touch-ups. So I'm going to pull the ferns, and I got some Calathea. I've heard it's pronounced both ways. I don't know which way is correct, but I got some of those for him. So yeah, we've got plants coming. Those photos will be over on MeWe tonight if you're not already following there. Let's see. Whoops, that just jumped too far. Septa said, ready to glare, said it best that the Humane Society has its issues too. The actual hotel for dogs who trains their temperaments and can be changed. The people, you get these whack job trainers out there. You can modify a dog's behavior, absolutely. You can train them. But there's certain things where it's like, I see this a lot with humane societies, that they're like, oh no, give it some work and it'll be calm. The dog tried to bite the person looking at them. Like, why are you, maybe find a better fit for them. I don't know, drives me crazy. I've known of people who went to look at dogs at humane societies and the dog's like growling at them, oh, he'll calm down. No, that dog shouldn't be shown to anyone right now. He's gonna need a specialty person. Sarah said, a woman used to walk past my house when my dog was in the garden, she used to lean over the wall and hit him. She attacked me, saying my dog terrorized her. Oh my gosh. Bat shrimp crazy, I'm telling you. And I'm turning that into a merch shirt, by the way. I'm going to make a bat shrimp because that's, yeah. Oh, speaking of merch, I don't know. You can't see it. Hold on. Look at my new tank top. It says words are hard. It has my zombie snail on it. So that's, I have to say I'm loving the quality of these shirts, everything like that, and the sweatshirts I've gotten, super, super soft. Links in the video description if you are interested in those. But I'm going to have to do a bat shrimp crazy one too, and I've got to make the drawing for that coming up soon. But no, people are just, some of the stuff people do, you're just like, oh my God. Snow said, we actually got our cat when he was 7, got 2 cats from our parents, but the other didn't want to adjust. The one adjusted just because I raised him from a kitten. Bye, Petrified Gardener. Oh, massive issue. I'm sorry. Please keep us updated. Hope things go well. Nikki Chiggy said merch. Yup. I've got t-shirts and sweatshirts and all that fun stuff. Boyfriender. Oh, nope. That was it for me. Zika said, I think the Patreon idea is awesome. You post amazing pictures that could be really good references. Tara said that she is. Does she still live next to you, Tara? Like, oh my gosh, that is just, we're so lucky. I actually had one of my neighbors come to my door last night. It was like 10:30 at night. Knock on my door, and at first I'm like, why is this strange man at my door? Should I open this? But I open it, and he was worried because my neighbor on the other side of me, not the one with the dogs that, like, I check on their dogs and let them out and stuff, but the other neighbor, he's the one with the French Bulldog. He had left his garage door open, and the one neighbor was worried about him, and he kept knocking on the door, but he wasn't answering, and he wanted to know if I had his number because he knows I talked to him. And I'm like, I never thought to ask for his number, but I will now. So I was like, how cool that we've got neighbors that care that much about each other. Like, so far, I have been so, like, the people directly around me, not the people down with the woman in her husky white German Shepherd. Yeah, directly around me, we have been so lucky. Septa said, that is blood curdling. Don't ever hit my pet or all hell would break loose. I'm right there with you. I would flip the F out. Like, oh my gosh, it would be a thing. It would be a major, I'm mouthy anyway. I know you're shocked, right? Didn't see that coming. I'm pretty mouthy. So there was, when I lived in my apartments, they had corporate housing there too. So the people that were there for the corporate housing units, they would come in like when they were traveling or whatever, their corporation owned certain building. I don't know how well it worked, but the office managers were not allowed to call them out for breaking apartment rules, like having a dog off leash. So I have my Italian Greyhounds. This is when they were a bit younger, and we're rollerblading. And I mean, it's a whole thing. There's a training process to teach them to rollerblade because they're in front of me without like running over them. This idiot, she had a dog. I don't know if he was a Lhasa mix. I'm not sure what he was. Something floppy and hairy. She has him off the leash, and this dog comes bolting after my dogs. Well, I have to stop because if he keeps chasing, if you keep moving, they're going to chase. It makes it worse. I laid into that woman so bad. She was backing off. I'm sorry. You were doing good. I'm so sorry. This was totally my fault. I'm sorry. And I was like, because people don't, I don't know if they just don't expect it because I'm small, but it was kind of funny. But I went and told the apartments after, what had happened. And she goes, that woman people have been calling about her and her dog off leash, and they thought it was hilarious that I laid into her because they weren't allowed to. I never saw her with her dog. Actually, I don't know if I ever saw her again, but I never saw her with that dog off leash again. I laid into that woman. There were many swear words. Not that that should be something to be proud of, but never happened again. Let's see. Septa said, I've had a similar experience. This person would agitate my pet. Oh, I would flip out. Clark Finer said, we are the same way. Our close neighbors are awesome. We're very lucky. Love my neighbors. I know, it makes me like never want to move and make sure they never move. I told them, if you ever try to move, I'm going to sabotage every potential home buyer that comes in and looks at your house. Tara said, let's see, not anymore. I moved out further into the countryside, but I see her when I'm at the school run and tempted to run her over. Starving Artist Collector said, got a neglected dog from an absolute idiot. Dog was neurotic and tried to bite me for 6 months. Became the sweetest boy after a year or so. Very Gibson in personality. And I said, oh, that's so awesome. That's a happy story. That gave me goosebumps. It really does not take much to give me goosebumps. But like, seriously, I don't know if you can see my goosebumps a little bit. It's like, I love those stories. Anyway. Let's see, EO said, would you ever put a red-eye tree frog design on your merchandise? Yes, and actually I kind of want to shift. I use the goldfish right now for my logo. I want to start incorporating the red-eye tree frogs. I mean, they're such a big part, especially Glitch. The frog that it's kind of funny. So Glitch, I thought I was going to lose her when the neurological stuff started in January. And that's why I ended up getting the purple and the yellow red-eye tree frog. And who knew I was going to end up with more frogs with parasites? But that's how I ended up with them. Because I was like, I'm going to lose this. I was so upset. So I didn't think she'd still be with us. And now she's just kind of almost become, and I mean, we never know. We don't know what damage was done neurologically to her. So we don't know I know what caused it. I just don't know how severe it is. And I don't know, who knows? I mean, every day I'm feeling lucky that she's still with us. But she's doing well with the eating and all that. And so now she's just become such a big part of, like, I post her more often than my own artwork on MeWe and stuff. So yeah, I think I definitely need to do some, I have a lot of different merch I need to redesign or add to what we have. Clark Maynard said, LO, we told our neighbors if they ever want to move, we have to be able to interview all potential buyers. Actually, my neighbors here on the one side, they said if they move, we're buying houses next to each other again, that we have to move at the same time. I'm like, but I like my house. Snow said, people never expect the small people. This woman who tried to pet my parents' dog from behind, she flipped out because she didn't expect it. I got angry. She was almost scared. Yep, that's pretty much what I did to the woman whose dog was off the leash. Like, and it's not that I want to be mean to people, but you're putting my dog at risk. My dog is more important to me than your feelings. So I did it. I think I embarrassed my neighbor, the ones I was just talking about. We were walking her dog, her and I. She had her lab poodle mix, and then I had the both boys with me. And this person, I don't remember if it was, I think one was a Papillon, was a smaller one, and then something big like a pit mix or something along, maybe a boxer mix, something along those sides, that range. Come bolting out. We're across the street. Our dogs are both on the leash right next to us. You know, ours are all well behaved. His dog's no leash, no collar. Come bolting out of his garage. He was in there with them. Just let him, no leash, just hanging out in the garage. After our dogs, his dog's lunging and growling and all of this. And I'm like, you want to grab it? So he comes and picks up the Papillon. I'm not worried about the Papillon-sized dog. I'm worried about the big one that's trying to bite my dog. I went off on him. And he's like, I'm sorry. And my friend, my neighbor was like, oh, it's okay, because she didn't know what to say. I'm like, no, it's not okay. Put a leash on it. And he still wasn't grabbing the big dog. I'm like, you want to grab him? I went, oh, I was pissed. I was so mad. Because again, you put my dog at risk. That's my problem. If you want to put your dog at risk, I'm going to judge you, but I'm not going to go off on you. You put my dog at risk, we're going to have issue. Yeah, there will be words. They won't be YouTube friendly. Good neighbors are a diamond in the rough. Yeah, I can't believe how lucky, like everyone around us, how good. Now the neighbor, there's people like kind of at a distance. They've got a barking dog, but they're far enough away. I feel lucky they're not my like close neighbor. Like we're very lucky. I get to go, my neighbor, she's having her baby next week, and I get to go babysit her dog, like go and let them in and out and all that stuff for a couple of days there. And I love it because I like to play with them. One's a lab poodle, one's a lab golden, and one's a lab poodle, golden poodle, and another one is a cocker poodle mix. Now that's a mix I kind of get. I don't get the whole poodle mix thing. That cocker poodle, he's cuter than a cocker and a poodle. Like that combination, oh my God, that might be the cutest dog ever, just ever. I call him floppy dog. But that one I get. What, like standardize that. Make that a standardized breed because oh my God, he's so cute. But anyway, I get to go babysit them next week. I always like visiting with them. They're cute and floppy. Although she said too, her next time, I mean, these dogs are fairly young, but she said her next dog will be a pure standard poodle is what she's like, I'm done with the mix because the same thing, you don't know, are you getting more golden or are you getting more poodle? She wants the more poodle. Let's see. So they said, how about strangers giving food to your dog out of concern? We have, and I don't know why they do some of these houses. So ours, we've got like brick walls and wood fencing. So no one's sticking their hands through, feeding my dogs, whatever. I do worry about someone tossing like poison or something over. My dogs don't bark, but my neighbors do. And I've often wondered, because we used to see this in the animal hospital, where somebody would poison a dog that barks too much. And I'm like, don't get the wrong house. I mean, hopefully they wouldn't do it at all, but please don't throw that in my dogs don't bark. Greyhounds are not barkers. But anyway, they're very stealthy. Where was I going with that? Oh, so some of the houses in the neighborhood have what do they call it? Wrought iron fences, like just the metal black pole things. And that's it. And people have been posting like, oh, is my German Shepherd going to get out at 4 foot on some of those? Most of them were larger, but someone, I don't know which area of the neighborhood it's only 4 foot, but it's like, yeah, that dog can jump 4 feet is not that high for a Shepherd. But I would worry more about people putting their hands through, giving them food, or a kid who wants to come pet it and getting bit, and then you get sued. And I don't know why anyone would get one, like buy a house that was going to have that type of fence if they had dogs like that. That looks like just all kinds of a bad idea to me. I do not get it. We've got 6 foot fences, so we're pretty good here. Nick said, if the Cocker Spaniel Poodle gets a haircut, is it a cockadoodle too? Gosh, I don't like him when he gets the haircut. I like his floppy hair. He's cute either way, but that floppy hair, like he's just, and it's funny because he's thin. He's like all bones and just this, he's so floppy. You pick him up, he weighs nothing. He is the cutest dog. Like, oh my gosh. Snow said, I had people tell me, relax, it's just a dog cat. Don't you hate that? No, it's, no, I won't relax. It's like a kid to me. You think pets are things. Don't assume the same for me. And and don't have pets. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Well, and I was just talking to a friend about that. Like even when a fish dies and it's like, I get it. It's just a fish, but it's like, this is a fish you've taken care of for potentially years. Like my firefish, I knew he was going because they only live a couple years anyway. They're not a long-lived fish. And he lived about 2 weeks in the new tank, and then I found, so anyway, but you know, you get the same thing, it's just a fish, and it's like, I mean, I wasn't super attached to him because I did know he was not going to be long-lived. He was an adult when I got him, so 2 years, I got a good amount of time out of him, but at the same time, it's like, when you have an animal that you've been taking care of for, like, yeah, they end up being a huge part of your family. Clark Feinhardt said, how about loose cats running everywhere? I have to keep my dog pet on a leash, but your cat can come and spray all over my yard and jump on my vehicles. That gets me hot. Well, my dogs eat cats, so it's not going to be a problem for me. Actually, this whole area, anyone who lets their cat out of the yard, it's not going to live long. We have so many coyotes, so many birds of prey. Like, we don't get cats. I want to say luckily. I know that sounds mean, but I mean, we just don't have the stray, and not even stray cats, just outdoor cats, because that would bug me too, absolutely. But it's not really, I will say in this area, not something we really deal with. They don't make it long when the people move in here. When we were in California, you had a lot of people let their cats roam free outside. But here, and it's not that you don't have coyotes and stuff in California, it's just more here, like a lot here, and the birds of prey too. So they just do not, you have people that moved in from California and they think they can let their cats out. And it's like, well, bye kitty. It was nice knowing you. But then it just seems so irresponsible anyway. Like, how do you not know the area you're moving into? And not that it's ever safe. I mean, and maybe because I worked in an animal hospital, I have a different view on this. The amount of times you just see the same cats coming in again and again with abscesses from getting in cat fights or being hit by a car. Like, it is so common. I don't know, like, that would make me nervous knowing my cat is out in a place where that is going to My cats were not allowed outside at all. Kelly said, I have two cocker poodles. They're so cute. So cute. Let's see. Oh, my husband actually said, so I've always liked standard poodles. They're one of the best guard dogs, which is funny because you think poodle. No, they're discerning. So unlike a German Shepherd who's like, I'm just gonna eat anybody. The poodle's like, I can tell you're a threat. I can tell you're not a threat. Like poodles have a reputation for being more discerning with that. So really, really cool dogs. Then, and that is one breed that I've always liked. Very intelligent. So Matt has always been like, no, because it's a poodle and it's too floofy. Well, now he's starting to see some cut in certain, because you can cut them in they look like any breed you want. So he's starting to come around to the poodle thing. So, I mean, hopefully these boys will be with us for a long time, so it's nowhere near in our future. But I liked that he was starting to come around to the poodle thing. People think poodle, oh, it's a pansy. Nope. I'm not going up against somebody's poodle. Let's see. 7 said here, no one is legally allowed to have pets. It's considered a liability and germ spreader. Where do you live? Oh, I'm sad for you. Move here. You can have the pets here. Septa said, and you confided with these so-called things than a real human being. So no. Sneak said, a woman went by with her unleashed dog. My dog would go nuts as a dog was in heat and teased him like crazy. We told her to leash her dog. The next day still had her off leash and she was carrying a pipe. Wow. Septa said, you have like homeowners meetings regarding pet control and stuff. You seem to be living in a residence with pets. We're in an HOA. Any new build is going to be in an HOA, but our HOA is being ran by because it's a new thing, like the residents don't control the HOA. So it's like a management company that runs ours until I think the neighborhood has to be something like 90 or 95% finished, and we are nowhere near that. So the residents don't have much say or control at all with the HOA here yet. But yeah, I mean, they have I knew one neighbor had to call the HOA company to report another neighbor whose dogs were always barking nonstop all hours of the day and night. And they were leaving them outside in really bad weather, it wasn't a good situation. So they did something about it. So there is some things, but it's not, we don't have control of our own HOA to where we would have meetings yet, if that makes sense. Hi, Jack. Okay, let's get some of the blue in here. What did I do on that one? And I am pushing pretty hard on this, but so what happens when you push hard, it gets to where you can't really do many other layers. I don't care if I can't. The only thing I need in addition to this is going to be the white highlights. I'm using the Touch Up Texture Titanium White next week anyway, so it's not a problem. Septa said, it gives me paranoia how burglars can pet the dogs and enter the house. That would be mine. Mine would give no cares. I would be more worried about somebody breaking in and letting the dogs out. Wade is crated. Gibson is not. When we're not home. I mean, we're always home. So chances of someone breaking in, my neighbor's a cop. You're not gonna, this isn't a high risk type situation. But I still worry about that as somebody coming in and letting the dogs out. Because when I lived in California, when I was a kid, our neighbors broke into our house. And it sucked because when they moved, they had all of our stuff in their front yard. Our microwave, the stuff they stole was out there. And the cops wouldn't do anything because we couldn't prove it was ours. It was the most in your face F you from them to us. We broke in and we stole your stuff. But when they broke in, they also they tried to steal. My mom had a yellow-naped Amazon. And that bird had pancreatitis and was constantly health issue. And that was kind of the thing that pushed him over the edge. The stress from them trying to steal and catch this bird. We found him outside when we came home in a bush. But that was the stress because they were trying to steal him. We had Great Danes, and they locked the Great Danes in the back part of the yard so they couldn't get in, because the Danes would have done something if they would have. No, but they lived next to us. They knew what to do to keep them away. I think that was it. The bird was out. I think our dogs, they locked them in the back. But I mean, that was So to this day, I'm always worried about somebody breaking in and letting the dogs out. Not that they would try to steal the dogs. They were trying to steal the bird, but because he was in a cage, they opened it trying to get him out. But yeah, that's a thing. Yay, California. Sneak said the woman had a nice chat with the police and they made her go home. Turns out she had borrowed her dad's dog to run with. He was extremely displeased with the police call. Dang. Snow said, it's funny, my parents' dog was calm when strangers came close to our home, while our cat kept growling. She always made me chuckle. Oh my gosh. Sorry, itchy eye. Super classy here, but it really itched. Has FedEx come yet? Where is my stuff? It's weird. They're usually here earlier in the day. The time I went them earlier. Still no FedEx. Do I like Scooby-Doo cartoons? Did I grow up with this cartoon? I did grow up with it. Wouldn't say I like or dislike it. It wasn't my favorite. I was big on Thundercats and Voltron were like my favorites. The cat Voltron, not the car, whatever robot one. Those were the ones that I really remember being my absolute favorite. I guess I was a little bit of a tomboy there. Now I'm just doing kind of some little detail stuff. I'll wrap this up in just a moment because this is kind of a good place to stop. I've got to figure out what I want to do for the leaves. I think just add some deeper shadows and stuff to find them a bit more. My reference photo, it's just all kind of dark. We'll make it a lot darker though, but that'll be next week. Any tips for making art with cheap art supplies? Yeah, don't sell it. If you're going to use cheap supplies, that probably, in most cases, there are exceptions like graphite, charcoal, you're fine. But a lot of the cheap art supplies are not light fast, meaning you may draw something and it comes out amazing, even though they were cheap supplies. And then you sold it and in a few years it fades. That customer is not going to be happy, and that is not a reputation you want to build for yourself. So if you're going to use them and they aren't light fast, meaning they fade. So when exposed to light, they fade over time. Certain colors are more prone to fading. Pinks, purples are some of the worst, some of the blues. They can be really bad. And if that happens, you don't want to sell it. So that would be my main thing if you're using cheap supplies. The other thing is if you use a cheap art supply, let's say it's super, super cheap, like children's grade, whatever. Let's say it's colored pencils. And you're like, I've never used colored pencils. I don't want to invest a lot of money. I just want to see if I like them. So you get a big set of these cheap pencils. And you're like, wow, these are terrible. They won't work for me. I hate them. You may hate them because they're cheap and terrible. You would be better off. I recommend people getting like a 12 set of good colored pencils. Spend the same amount of money you would on a big set of the little ones. 12, or the crap ones. Spend the money on 12. You're going to learn more from blending in with 12 pencils. You can do just about anything. I'd add in a white pencil in addition to that, a white opaque pencil. Like let's say you do the 12 polychromos, and I've got a video talking about this. You can get a good pencils that you can sell the artwork if you wanted to. You're learning with good supplies. You're not spending more than you would have buying a whole lot of crap pencils. I don't really recommend cheap supplies in most cases. Graphite pencils, I'm less picky. Charcoal, I'm less picky. But those are inexpensive anyway. So even then, why not get good ones that are going to work and blend smoothly? So, I'm not one who recommends cheap supplies. So I can't give you a lot of tips other than that. Let's see. Reiko said, my dogs are not trained and escape often and pester the neighbors. So I fully believe that people need to train their dogs. We just haven't had the time or money to train ours. And you shouldn't have them. I'm sorry. You shouldn't have them. If you have dogs that are getting out, you're not protecting them. You're putting your dogs, every time they get out, they're at risk of being shot by a neighbor's dog. If I have to protect my dog and that means hurting yours, that's what I'm going to do. You are putting your dog at risk. You're being irresponsible. And I'm sorry, I know that's not what you want to hear. And I don't have time to train it. Then you don't have time for the dog. Why do you have a dog you don't have time for? I don't understand why you're you're not taking care of it. You think that because you love it and because you pet it and because you feed it, you're taking care of it. There's more to owning a dog. And your dog getting out is irresponsible on your part. You know it is happening. You need to figure out how to stop it. And if a dog keeps getting out, that's not even a training issue. That's an issue of you need to fix your fences. You need to there's more involved in that. And sometimes if a dog keeps getting out of the yard, no matter what you do, you've got to rehome the dog because you can't keep it safe. That dog gets hit by a car, your fault. Not the dogs for jumping the fence, your fault for not keeping it in the yard. So, Yay for my next thumbs down. But seriously, that it's on you, not your lack of time. I don't know why you have dogs. Let's see. Jack said, what does archival mean? Does it mean the watercolor, for example, won't fade? Yeah, it can mean several, yes, basically. It's going to stand the test of time. It's going to still look good in 50 years. It's not going to fade. The paper's not going to deteriorate. So like, let's say you've got a paper that's not pH neutral. Your artwork will start to fade. It will start to discolor because of the paper. So it's not even just the pencils. It can be both. Now most paper is, most, not all, is pH neutral, you know, acid free, so you're good there. But yeah, it's about keeping the artwork so that it looks as good in 50 years as it did today. Where were we? Danny said, I'm so excited to see the tank tops in your merch. How does the sizing work? If I normally wear a medium, are they true to fit, or should I get a large and expect some shrinkage when washing? I went with this one is a small. I normally go with small. I wouldn't hate it if it was a little bit more flowy. Honestly, this is kind of the flowy one. It fits. It's still loose. It did not shrink. I didn't have any problems with it shrinking. And the same thing with my sweatshirt. Did I go with small or medium? Where is it? Hold on, let me go check for you. 'Cause I'm trying to think where. Let me check what size I got on the sweatshirt, because I might have gotten bigger on that. But this one, the flowy tank top, I'm normally a small, and this does fit, but I wouldn't hate it if it was a little bit bigger. It does, even though now here's the thing too. It has to. I don't know if you can see. I've got a second tank top underneath. It fits, but it's also like loose to where like your bra would show. That's what you boys want to hear about, right? Sorry, but it requires a second tank top underneath it, even though it's small. I wouldn't mind more flowy. I don't know if that helps. Let me see what my sweatshirt was. 1 second. Okay, I don't know if this says it on here. Hold on. Doesn't look like it has a tag. These, by the way, oh, they're so soft. I'm really happy with the quality. I wanted to order them to make sure they were good. They are. Okay, never mind. This isn't helping. There's like no tag or anything in here. Weird. I don't know. But yeah, the tank top, anyway, I normally wear a small in most things, and I got a small here, and it's more fitted than I thought it would be, but not tight. It's not tight either. It did not shrink at all, though, so I didn't have any problems there. Let's see. Septa said, thank you for your honesty. Yes, for dog training. I mean, it's a part of owning dogs. And I get it. You get a dog, you don't expect it. And I mean, it's a part of, I can say the same thing with the frogs. That's one of the reasons I wanted to make the video on it. Like, checking, doing the testing, doing the vet care, the medication, like it's a part of it, and you have to, I wish more people knew that going in, because it would prevent a lot of heartbreak for everyone involved. Rika said, I think you're right about my dogs. It's mainly, one dog. They're small and slip through the legs when we open the door. We may be able to train them, but they're definitely pains. Then, you know, if they're slipping through when you open the door, yes, train them. But you can also put up a pet gate that's away from the door. So they can't even access the door. You have to step over the pet gate to get to the door. Simple solution. Pet gates are not expensive. If you have the dog, get something, and that is one of the things. Actually, I want to put one in my hallway. Not that my dogs escape, but just because I would feel a little safe if they couldn't run to the door, just in case. And they've never gotten out, but you know, we can take precautions. And so you can look online for a pet gate, depending on where your door is, or you could also technically set up like an X pen. So like you can reshape them and just block off the door. It depends on how your house is set up. I don't know, you know, if you've got a hallway, to the door, it's easier to block that off. But an X pen would be a way. So you've essentially got a crate around not a crate, but like a wire pen around the door, a playpen, that you walk in and then walk out before the door even opens. So it's not that the dogs can't figure out how to get in there. It's that you just slowed them down enough that they're not slipping out the door. So, you know, there are things that you can do to help with that. The training for sure. And the training's not that hard. It doesn't take that long. One of the things I always like too, this isn't you obviously, but the people who will post in the neighborhood group that they need somebody to pick up their dog poop. There are companies who do this and they'll come once a week and pick up. You're only picking up dog poop once a week. Why do you have a dog? If you don't have time to even do the bare minimum, why do you have that one really gets me. But I mean, to me, I pick it up every day, at least once a day. Like, I don't understand why you're having someone come to your home once a week so your yard is full of flies and ew. But anyway, I'm so judgy. But you know, you can try that with like some kind of a pet gate or a pet, like a little, it's kind of like a playpen type, but it's open on the ends. And so you just kind of wrap that around the door. You walk in, pull it close. It's not pretty, but there are things that you can do, I think, that would help prevent that. Because how are you going to feel when that dog gets hit by a car? And it will inevitably get hit by a car. It's only a matter of time. Hit by a car, stolen, shot at because it was risking somebody else's life, or your little dog runs up to Gibson, he's going to eat it. He has a high prey drive, small dog, looks a whole lot like a bunny, that dog's gone. And it's your fault. How are you going to feel having to live with yourself knowing it was your fault that happened? So, you know, there you go. That there are solutions to everything that might be a lot easier than you would think, that wouldn't even take that much time. Where are we? We'll wrap this up, finish up the questions. Linda said, I may regret this tee to wear my last day of work when I retired. People thought it was so funny. I have that one too. That's the other t-shirt. I want to get more of the t-shirts. I really liked them too. And I don't remember if I went with medium or small on the t-shirt. I don't even know where my t-shirt is. I need to clean my closet, or organize, I should say. I need to get some more. Jack said, I hate it when people have cats or dogs. They have a really messy, untidy house. It's selfish. I just don't like, I don't know. I'm weird about things being clean anyway. I mean, okay, the studio is kind of messy, but yeah. Is having a dog expensive? Yes, it can be. Well, you've got to look at your vet here. So like with me, the boys, I feed a raw diet, so I'm feeding more. The average person who feeds dog food's probably going to spend, let's say $100 a month to feed dogs this size. I'm guessing. I don't know. I feed raw, so I don't really remember how much they went through kibble before I switched over. But let's say you feed kibble. It depends on the size of the dog, though, because my Italian Greyhounds, they were little. They didn't eat much, so it depends there. But the vet bills, it's not even the buying the dog. It's not even the buying the food. It's the vet bills that are going to get you. The vaccines, in my case, in this area, you have to treat for heartworm, because it is so common, like so common. Actually, they're both about due for their next dose. But you have a lot of things like that, flea preventative, depending on the area, if that's needed. There are a lot of things like that. So that's where it really gets more expensive, and you have to be prepared. So like, it drives me crazy when I see people doing these GoFundMes to take care of their animals' health stuff. Like, you knew vet, especially minor stuff. Dentals, they have to go under and have dental work done every so often. That's a part of owning a dog, and that's expensive. The amount of money, Jesse and Echo got really expensive towards the end because they had so many health issues. So every time I went, I swear I felt like I was dropping another $1,000. Like it was getting bad because the amount of blood tests that we had to keep doing. So it can get, and some vets are more expensive. It depends on where you're going for sure. But yeah, they're not cheap. Let's see. Septa said, can your dogs jump through the fence? Mine cannot, no. Mine would not be outside if they could. Like, if there was any risk of them I have a lock on my back gate. Like, I am not, because sometimes somebody will come and open someone's gate and the dog runs away. I take as many precautions as you possibly can. So no, that's not a problem for mine. Simon says, okay, got that one. Raiku said, thanks for the tips that maybe as the oldest child, I can take up the there you go. Responsibility of training the dogs and seeing if I can get a pen so they don't escape. Good for you. I'm glad that you're being responsible in that. That's like, seriously, good for you. Message me and I can send you like photos of what I'm talking about if you can't think of it, or show me if I do want to help you in this. If you want to send me an email, lisa@lachri.com, send me an email with photos of how your door is set up, and I'll see if I can come up or show you some ideas of ways that you could kind of block that or set it up so it was cute, but also slow the dogs down so they're not getting away. Let's see. Septa said, are those pet poop house technology that can be bought on Amazon effective? I have no idea on those. That I don't know. My dogs are too big for most of that to work. And I know they even have the ones that are like septic things that you bury and put, and I'm like, I just don't know. Jack said, by untidy, I mean like hoarder. Oh, I think it was when called when you can't even get into a room because it's so full of rubbish and garbage. Oh, yeah. With you on that. Absolutely. Okay, we are good. We are at 3:07. I'm going to wrap this up and go sit and stare out my door and hope my Josh's Frogs order comes because Glitch wants new plants. Someone said, I feel like dog owners should be made aware of the financial expense and the emotional support they need before getting pets. Absolutely. But here's the thing. Those of us who live in the U.S., we know the financial, you should know the information. It's amazing to me. This is one of the reasons it's so good to go through a reputable breeder versus like a backyard breeder or wherever people are getting their dogs from, because the reputable breeder is going to give you all the bads. They're going to tell you how much stuff costs. They're going to make sure you're financially prepared for that. Now, here's the thing that you may not know, because you don't have, if you don't have pets in your area. We have health insurance for pets. Gibson has health insurance. I think I pay $55 a month for him. Wade doesn't. Gibson I was more worried about because he runs so hard. I'm afraid he's going to hurt his leg. I mean, he runs and he slips a few times and I'm like, oh, if you have to have surgery, that's going to be expensive. So that's really my main reason Gibson has health insurance. The other was that we got Wade during like the beginning of everyone closed down because of the zombie virus. So I just couldn't get him in for his initial exam because that wasn't an emergency. So I just never ended up getting him any, and he wouldn't pass the initial test, and he wouldn't be covered basically for his allergies because it's a pre-existing condition. But yeah, no, they have pet insurance, so that's an option too. Let's see. Anyway, we are good. We're going to wrap this up. Don't forget to head over to MeWe where we've got the giveaway going in our art group. So make sure you enter that for a chance, if you're in the US, for a chance to win that painting. What else do I have? I will be posting more photos of Glitch's tank once I get new plants in there. Hopefully they come good. I bought some before where I'm like, yeah, that plant's not super healthy. That's not going to work. But hopefully I'll have photos of that for later tonight. For right now, you guys just have permission to use any of those photos that I post of her on your own artwork. I may change that, though, and make that a Patreon thing. We'll see how that goes. But again, thank you so much for, for joining. And I will see you guys for sure on Wednesday. I should have a new video on Tuesday. I think that's it. Bye. Wait, no, I'm not saying bye yet. I'm back. But that was like magic. See how I came back? Make sure to check out Nick and Joseph's channel. They help so much with moderating here and our art group and everything. Go check them out. Links are in the video description. Make sure to subscribe. Tell them thank you. And now I'm done. Bye.